Wow.
Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:01. Let's start with roll call. Trustee Alvarado. Present. Trustee Vargas.
Present.
Trustee Markov.
Here.
Trustee Martin. Here. And Trustee Morocco and I'm here. I'm gonna call our student board members too. Allison Gaddis. Here. Dana Martinez. Here. Fatima Zacarias Ramirez. Gia Farias. Here. Okay, and so, I would like, Trustee Martin, would you like to lead us in the? Certainly. Great, stand.
Ready, begin?
I have allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's do this. All right, thank you. We're gonna do the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Payam Huicham, the people of the West, as the traditional land caretakers of the land on which Vista Unified School District was built and its surrounding traditional cultural landscapes. Today, the Payam Huicham are known as Lucenio and are made up of 7 bands: La Jolla, Pala, Palma, Pachanga, Rincon, San Luis Rey, and Soboba. We, Vista Unified School District, are mindful of the indigenous peoples in this place, and we pay our respects to the Lucenio, past, present, and future. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be part of this community in Lucenio territory and to honor their history, culture, and perseverance spirit. And I have to report, we took action. Yes, so lost it. Here we go. On May 15th, 2025, the board in closed session by unanimous vote had 5 ayes or by unanimous vote took action to accept and approve the final settlement agreement for claim number 619-099 and authorize the assistant superintendent to process all items relating to the processing of the settlement. Okay, we're moving on to the approval of the agenda. I do have one change. We have one of our student board members who's doing a presentation tonight has a time conflict. So I would like to move that up to, I would like to move 9A.
Just after 5.
Just after 5. So that would be 6.
Well, yeah, we're 6 on the agenda, so we just after 5.
Yeah, so just after item number 5, after public comments. Okay,
The 9 and.
yeah, so I would like to make the motion that we move to accept that amended agenda. Okay, moved by me, seconded by trustee Markov. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, we will move to public comments. 5A. I would like to call Robert Johnson. Podium. And you have 3 minutes.
All right, I'll keep it short. Well, good evening, board members, student board members, Dr. Doyle. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Robert Johnson. I've worked for the school district for 37 years, full-time, 38 if you count working as a sub. First, I started out as a custodian, then as an athletic field tech at Vista High School, and then finally as lead grounds maintenance worker. I've been maintaining and lining the athletic fields at our 3 high schools since 1991, so it's been a long time. or as I like to say, since the 1900s. Currently, I'm an active member of CSEA and have been on our chapter's executive board and am currently a member on our bargaining team. I met my wife while we both were working at Vista High School, and our kids both went through the Vista school system and graduated from Vista High School. Go Panthers. I have had the opportunity to work with some amazing people, classified teachers, coaches, and management. A couple weeks ago, I was given the opportunity to throw out the first pitch before a Vista High School baseball home game. On the questionnaire, one of the questions asked was, what advice or wisdom would you like to pass on to the next generation of USD employees? And here's what I came up with. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed with schedules. Don't be afraid to ask for help or advice and build relationships with your coworkers and administrators and people at the sites. Sometimes it is better to ask the question than to know the answer. Don't be afraid to talk to your managers, show them the respect that their position deserves, but talk to them. And probably for me, the most important is that God doesn't require you to succeed, He requires you to try. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, try something new or something that puts you out of your comfort zone, go for that job, person, whatever. If you succeed, great. If you don't, now you know what you need to work on if you so choose. So that's all I have. So thank you. Yeah.
We are moving on to our student reports, Vista, high school student report, so that is, I'm sorry, Gia. Principal, sorry, Megan.
Yeah, let's go with Vista High first, because that's the first.
That's the first one on the
So
agenda.
Megan, would you come
Megan?
forward, please, and introduce Dana?
Oh, Dana, sorry, I looked at the wrong one.
So it's a tradition for our principals to introduce our students that represent each of the schools. So we have here the principal of Vista High, Megan Ratliff. Megan?
Hello, so I have the pleasure of introducing you to Dana Martinez. Dana Martinez is a wonderful example of a student at our school who is motivated. You will hear about all the many activities that she is involved in at our school, but you will also hear a sense of school pride from her. I have to brag for just a moment. She turned in her speech 2 months early because she says, I like to get things done, and that's very true. So we are excited to introduce to you Dana Martinez.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dana Martinez, and I'm a junior and the student board member representative for Vista High School. I would first start off by articulating that Vista High School isn't just a place where we come to learn. It's a community where we grow, support one another, and create forever lasting memories. From our dedicated teachers who go above and beyond to help us succeed, to the diverse range of extracurricular activities that allow us to explore our passions. Our school provides us with an environment that encourages both academic and personal growth. I'm excited to share some of the wonderful aspects of our school and the positive impacts that it has had on all of us. In my past 3 years, my Vista High School experiences have been filled with dancing and playing in front of spotlights, leading my fellow peers and gaining brand new experiences and lessons. I've had the privilege of immersing myself in various activities and roles that have shaped my high school experiences and the person that I am today. As a dedicated member of 4 varsity teams, soccer, lacrosse, cheer, and now varsity dance captain, my involvement in ASB, currently serving as a special events co-lead, has allowed me to channel my creativity and organizational skills into planning memorable school events and activities. Additionally, my participation in multiple clubs such as Key Club, Dream Club, Character Leaders, Avid, and of course, currently Business Club president and founder, have broadened my horizons and connected me with peers who share similar in passions as I. Academically, I challenged myself in enrolling in honors, IB, and AP classes that have provided for me, pushing my limits and striving for excellence. As a student athlete, it can be challenging to have time to do my homework or even go make up a test. This year, my school was able to create a class that made it possible for everyone. The flex time period is an incredible valuable part of our schedule that greatly enhances our overall educational experience. For the first part of flex time, we meet with our assigned teachers who show us lessons on health, safety, and social life. We get to communicate and have fun with our classmates and talk about our experiences and opinions. The second half of the class is where the flexibility comes into play. We use the app called Minga to assign ourselves to different classes based on our individual needs. This allows us to seek help from specific teachers, make up tests, and complete missing assignments, and focus on areas where we need the most support. This personalized approach ensures that we can stay on top of our academic responsibilities and receive targeted assistance as needed. Additionally, the flex time is utilized to hold various school events such as rallies, college fairs, and PBI celebrations, which contribute to the vibrant and engaging school culture. These events provide opportunities for us to contribute to I was using the wrong word. These events provide opportunities for us to grow as a community. The S building is our home to the English department, and it's one of the newest additions to our campus. On both floors, there's a large classroom known as the Flex Classroom, and which is used for meetings between students and teachers, especially popular with athletic teams. This modern facility enhances our learning environment and also provides a versatile space. Next up is our T building, which is a 3-story space. It is home to our weight room, which is fully equipped with all kinds of weights to support our physical fitness and athletic training. This facility offers students who are involved in sports to prioritize maintaining a healthy lifestyle. The GROTC room is another highlight, featuring drones, VR simulations, and a full plane model, which our advanced tools provide hand-on learning opportunities and that are both engaging and educational. The T building is also home to our science and history classes. But now I would like to highlight one of the most impacting events that have happened this school year. On January 21st, 2025, all 4 middle schools were able to bring their 8th graders to our high school campuses, which was truly memorable and brought students together from BMS, RMS, Vita, and Madison. We have not been able to do this since 2019, and I'm glad and grateful that my ASB director was able to push for the ability to bring this event back. The 8th graders were greeted with enthusiasm as they arrived on campus by many students and teachers. This event took a lot of effort and teamwork. Being my ASB special events lead, my co-lead and I worked diligently to plan every detail, ensuring that the day was packed with engaging activities and an informative session. And I cannot express the amount of gratitude that I have for my ASB members and my teachers. Although it was stressful, I would genuinely do it all over again because the amount of happiness it brought me and the amount of achievement that it also brought me. In the rally, various performances were showcasing, showing the incredible talent of these individuals and all the school spirit that our students bring. Following the rally, the 8th graders had the opportunity to be guided on tours around the campus, led by many students from different clubs, sports, and so much more. These tours were designed to give them a look at our brand new facilities, classrooms, extracurriculars that they will soon become familiar with. Current students acted as tour guides, sharing their personal experiences and answering questions, which helped the 8th graders feel more connected and welcome to Vista. Serving as my high school student board representative has particularly been rewarding and a brand new experience, as it provided me with new perspectives and the opportunity to positively influence our school district. I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge my fellow principal. Thank you, Ms. Rattler, for giving me this opportunity to represent Vista High School. And I want to give a huge thanks to Vista High School and all the amazing teachers, coaches, and supporters that have made this possible for me. And not only just for me, but other kids as well.
Thank you. Next, we have Gina. And from Rancho Buena Vista.
Right, we have.
And we have Dr. Rosen.
Good evening.
Gotta hold it down.
Good evening, school board members, student board members, Superintendent Dr. Doyle. I'm Dr. Jose Manuel Villarreal, Park Principal, Rancho Buena Vista High School. I'm here tonight. There she is. Here tonight to formally introduce one of our student board members, Gia. Did talk to your mom about some of this, just so you know. Her mother is an instructional aide at our campus. Gia is a senior at RBV whose life experiences are to reflect the values we promote through respect and ranch commitment. Born in McAllen, Texas, Gia began her journey abroad, living in Japan for nearly 3 years before returning to Houston, where she famously participated in the Houston Rodeo's mutton busting competition, earning a silver buckle and trophy. The daughter of 2 retired United States Marines, Gia carries herself with discipline, curiosity, drive, and define true leadership. She's traveled to more than a dozen US states, several countries across Europe, Mexico, and Asia. She loves strawberries so much that they're her favorite treat and part of her style. She will attend the University of Oregon next fall to major in biology, inspired by one of her teachers, Ms. Frank Aldrich. Gia experiences grounded in service, learning, exploration, and make her a perfect representative of our school and community. Join me in welcoming Gia.
All right. Hold this, hold it.
Good evening, board members, student board members, and audience members. My name is Gia Farias, and I am here today representing the wonderful community of Rancho Buena Vista High School. I am excited to share my report tonight and show you the amazing, enriching things around the RBV campus based on our pillars: academics, arts, athletics, and community. Our teachers' hard work and commitment have been evident in the 2 most recently recognized RBV teacher, Ms. Kelly Clark's cyanotype was featured in September 2024 at a non-digital photography show at the Photographer's Eye Gallery in downtown Escondido. RBV's teacher, Stephanie Hawkins, and her 2024 yearbook student team received the All-American with 5 marks of distinction, honor from the National Student Press Association for excellence in essentials, coverage, writing and editing, design and photography. In the arts, which is my favorite, we have had some amazing experiences. The marching band and color guard secured 3rd place at the Mount Carmel Field Tournament and 2nd place at Mira Mesa, where the drumline also won 1st place and 2nd place sweepstakes award. The marching band and color guard have for their incredible achievement at the Vista Field Tournament. They took home the top honor, winning sweepstakes in all captions, including music, percussion, general effect, and color guard. Their performance earned them the tournament grand champion trophy. And the City of Vista, as City Council member Dan O'Donnell, will honor our band for the 2nd year in a row at the KUSI Country Band of the Year. My fellow scholar athlete Longhorns will tell you that we have had a very successful year with our athletics. Did you know that the following sports teams were league champions this year? There were boys water polo, girls volleyball, and girls flag football. We had a tremendous panel of speakers for our closing Longhorn Leadership Academy, which is a comprehensive leadership development program for all of our student leaders and extracurricular activities, and attendance sessions for our campus Inco Awards. And finally, our community work is essential to our success. RBV launched a dual enrollment program with Vista Unified School District and CSUSM, where students can take college courses for credit towards 2 new undergraduate degrees at CSUSM. The program allows students to earn college credit at Rancho Buena Vista High School and fast track their way to a bachelor's degree in health and wellness in as little as 3 years. We continue telling our story on social media from prom having a 51% of our Longhorns earn honor roll distinction. In May, we will be having our resource fair. As I conclude my reflections on our amazing school, I am moving on from RBV and having enjoyed my time at Vista USD. I attended Casita Center Elementary School, then Vita Middle School, and now RBV. I am excited about our last month together, from grad night to the very end of graduation. After high school, I plan on attending the University of Oregon for biology. Over many years in Vista Unified, the teachers have made such a huge impact on me that it has made me want to make a huge impact on future children. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we are going to go to, I guess it's, is there, I lost my place because of 6A. 6A.
Recognition.
Yes. 6A. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Student board member recognition and so on.
Yes, so we're gonna have our board president step to the front,
Oh, yes, technically, I'm turning the meeting over to Dr. Doyle at this.
just for a moment. I promise I'll give it back. So it brings us tremendous pride, student board members, to recognize your leadership and the work that you have done for us in your official capacity representing all of our students, all 18,000 students in our school district. So congratulations, and we do want to suspend a moment and recognize each of you. So I'm gonna read just a quick paragraph to recognize each of you, and then if you could come forward when we call your name, and our board president will hand you the recognition certificate. You ready to go? All right, here we go. We'll first start with Dana Martinez from Vista High School. Dana, if you could walk up. Dana is a junior. Looking to the future, she plans to attend San Diego State University, and major in international business with a minor in economics. She's interested in becoming a management analyst, an economist, and perhaps a high school business teacher. Nice. Lastly, she wants to explore Greece, Italy, and France. Thank you, Dana. All right, stay up so we can, stay up here so we can get all of you there.
Okay.
Our next amazing board member is Gia Farias from Rancho Buena Vista High School. Gia, come on up. Gia is a senior, and after graduation, she plans to do some summer traveling with her best friend to Germany, Switzerland, and Italy right before she moves to her four-year university. She is committed to the University of Oregon on an academic scholarship. Congratulations, Gia. All right, and then Allison Gaddis, come on up, Allison, from Mission Vista High School. Allison is a senior, and after graduation, she will attend Yale University. Allison plans to major in humanities with the ultimate goal of becoming a professor. Congratulations, Allison. Next, we have Fatima Zacarias Ramirez from Murray High School. Fatima is a junior. Thinking ahead to her future after graduation, she plans to complete child development classes and begin working at the Children's Paradise Daycare. This will allow her to gain valuable hands-on experience while also spending time with her new daughter, Juliet Solano, who is her motivation as she prepares for a career in early childhood education. Congratulations, Fatima. Oh, but we are not done. A couple more additions, if the board doesn't mind. We have two honorary student representatives to recognize. We have Brian Solano. Brian, if you could come forward. Everyone in the room to know that Brian has been an absolute trooper here. He's come to every board meeting. He's supported Fatima in everything, every single evening. Brian, we so dearly appreciate the work and support you have provided. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, we saved the best for last. So we have one more honorary student board member. It's the official youngest student board member. And that is Davy Juliet Solano. Congratulations. Thank you all so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm officially handing it back to our board president, Morocco. Take it away. We have each of our other board members have important proclamations to read.
Okay, and who's next? Is it me?
Okay.
Yeah. And so next is Sue Morton, getting up there to do the proclamation for the Teacher and All Certificated Professionals Appreciation Week 2025. No, do it right. Okay.
This proclamation for Teacher and All Certificated Professional Appreciation Week. Whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world. And whereas our certificated personnel mold future citizens through guidance and education. And whereas certificated professionals embrace students of widely differing backgrounds. And whereas our certificated professionals are committed to stopping at nothing to remove barriers to high quality education for all of our students. And whereas our country's future depends on providing quality education to all of our students. And whereas certificated professionals spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling, coaching students, and performing community service. And whereas our certificated professionals go beyond teaching and serving our students to provide social and emotional learning, mental health support, address hunger, and support the whole child. And whereas our community recognizes and supports its certificated professionals in educating the children of Vista Unified School District, now therefore, the Vista Unified School District Board of Directors proclaims the week of May 5th through 9th, 2025 as Teacher Appreciation Week to honor all of our certificated professionals. We observe this week by taking our time to recognize and acknowledge the impact of all of our certificated professionals have on our lives. Teachers, nurses, counselors, social workers, psychologists, speech language pathologists, librarians, and many others. Thank you.
Trustee Marco, if you're next.
Whereas classified professionals provide valuable services to the schools and students of Vista Unified School District. And whereas classified professionals contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment. And whereas classified professionals serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of Vista Unified School District students. And whereas classified professionals employed by Vista Unified School District strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community. And therefore be it resolved that the Vista Unified School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contributions of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and in the Vista Unified School District, and proclaim the week of May 18th through 24th, 2025 as Classified School Employees Week.
Next would be trustee Marcus.
All right, this proclamation is for Substitute Employee Appreciation Week. Whereas a strong, effective system of public school education for all children and youth is essential to our democratic system of government, and whereas much of this progress can be attributed to the dedicated employees entrusted with supporting the educational environment so our children can grow to their full potential, and whereas substitute employees play a vital role in maintaining continuity of instruction and a positive learning when the employee is away. And whereas it is appropriate that the substitute employees be recognized for this dedication and commitment. Now therefore be resolved by the Vista Unified School Board of Trustees that they hereby proclaim the week of May 5th through May 9th, 2025 as Substitute Employee Appreciation Week. Congratulations.
Trustee Marcus, last but not least, trustee Alvarado.
All right, I will be reading the certificated and classified substitute employee recognition for 2025. Is Froilan Rodriguez here? Come on up, sir. Wait, let me read it. I just want you to see it in your space. You're special. Roy Rodriguez has been a substitute teacher at Roosevelt for nearly 2 years and has become an invaluable asset to the site. He has built strong connections with administration, staff, and students, earning their trust and respect. Always willing to lend a hand wherever needed, Roy consistently demonstrates a team-first attitude. He has stepped in for long-term teacher absences, supported summer school programs, and covered countless classes with professionalism and care. In addition to his work in the classroom, Roy has also coached Roosevelt's football team and the girls' basketball team, helping students develop not only their athletic skills, but also sportsmanship and character. He steps into any role and shines. Roosevelt is extremely grateful to him. Thank you so much, sir.
Nice job.
I have one more. for the classified substitute recognition.
She's not here, but we should.
Okay, but she deserves lots of recognition and roses. So this recognition is for Elizabeth Mao. Excuse me, is it Mao or? Did I say it right? If you all know her, okay, I just want to make sure I say her name right. A reliable and highly effective interventionist, Elizabeth skillfully provided targeted support in phonemic awareness, phonics, and writing to students in kindergarten, first and second grade. Tailoring her approach to the specific focus areas determined by each grade level, she works with students individually and in small groups, guiding their learning through their focused activities and positive reinforcement. This personalized attention ignites a genuine eagerness in students to participate in her sessions, fostering rapid progress. Her quiet dedication, coupled with her consistently warm, gentle, supportive, and kind demeanor, always delivered with a smile, has made her a beloved figure and a treasured resource among our students, creating a positive and engaging learning environment where they not only learn but also thrive. They absolutely love working with Elizabeth and eagerly anticipate their time with her. And where does Elizabeth work, y'all?
She's been at Maryland and Mission Meadows,
but mostly
Maryland.
So it didn't say, but thank you so much, Elizabeth, if you're watching or anyone. We appreciate your dedication to our Maryland kids and
Mission Meadows.
Mission.
But
Other
mostly
side.
Maryland.
Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Alvarado, now appropriately, thank you. All right, we're moving on to agenda item 7A. We are going to be convening a public hearing. So item 7A, we will now convene a public hearing of the California School Employees Association, chapter number 389, Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School Districts for negotiations of the summer successor agreement for the 2025-26 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Is there anyone that would like to comment on this topic? Thank you all for your comments and recommendations. The public hearing for the California School Employees Association, chapter 389, for negotiations of the successor agreement for the 2025-26 school year is now closed. Okay. Moving on to item 7B. We will now convene a public hearing on the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to the California School Employees Association, chapter number 389, for negotiations of the successor agreement for the 2025-26 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Does anyone want to come speak on this item? Thank you for all your comments and recommendations. The public hearing for the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal for negotiations of the successor agreement for the 2025-26 school year is now closed. And we're moving on to item 7C. We will now convene a public hearing of the Vista Teachers Association Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District for negotiations of reopeners for the 2025-26 school year for public comment. If you would like to comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Would anyone like to come and speak on this? Thank you for all your comments and recommendations. The public hearing for the Vista Teachers Association Sunshine Proposal for negotiations of reopeners for the 2025-26 school year is now closed. We are now on item 7D. We will now convene a public hearing on the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Teachers Association for negotiations of reopeners for the 2025-26 school year for public comment. If you would like a comment, we ask that you form a line at the podium. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes for such comments. Does anyone want to come to the podium and speak on this item? Thank you all for your comments and recommendations. The public hearing for the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal for negotiations of reopeners for the 2025-26 school year is now closed.
Just,
Okay.
which one? This.
Now we are moving on to item 7E. We will now move to the agenda item regarding the North County Trade Tech High School Charter School Renewal Petition. This is the second public hearing and action item as required by the California Education Code, section 47605. We will now open the public hearing for community members who wish to comment on the renewal petition. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes each. If you wish to speak, please approach the podium and address the board. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this? Hearing no public comment on this matter, the public hearing is now closed. Okay, and now we will move on to item 8A. We will hear from the Vista Teachers Association, Ms. Avila.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, student board members, Superintendent Dr. Doyle, Cabinet, and community members. On behalf of the Vista Teachers Association, we would like to begin by recognizing and thanking our retirees. Your years of dedication to our students, district, and community have made a lasting impact, and we wish you all the best in this exciting new chapter of life. We also want to acknowledge that May is the month of the educator. This important recognition includes not only our certificated staff, but also our classified colleagues. Together, we form a team that puts students first every single day. Tonight, VTA is here to advocate for keeping budget cuts as far away from students and classrooms as possible. In particular, we urge you to preserve all psychologist positions, as May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. It is especially important to recognize that cutting even one of these vital roles will directly impact the mental health services of our students that our students rely on. Now more than ever, students need access to consistent quality mental health support. Also on tonight's agenda is VTA's Sunshine Proposal outlining the articles we will bargain in the fall. A key issue will be compensation and benefits, especially in light of the 12.5% increase in insurance premiums coming this October. We hope to move through negotiations efficiently and collaboratively, so our members do not face a decrease in take-home pay due to rising healthcare costs. We look forward to working with you to ensure our educators feel supported, valued, and financially secure. Because when our educators thrive, our students thrive. As we close out the school year, we wish everyone the best for the upcoming summer break. We hope it's time to rest, recharge, and return renewed and strong for the 2025, can you believe it, 2026 school year. Thank you, and thank you all for your service, and congratulations, student board members.
Thank you, Ms. Avila. Next, we will move on to the California School Employees Association, Ms. Ramos.
Good evening, board, superintendent, Dr. Doyle, cabinet, and student board members. So next week, we are celebrating Classified School Employee Week, which is celebrated from Sunday, May 18th through next Saturday, May 25th or 24th, I believe. And so this year's theme is Trusted, Inclusive, and United, and we'll be wearing our pins next week. So classified school employees are trusted. Our community trusts us to create healthy, safe environments, and we keep that trust with the work that we do every day. We are inclusive. We help students and families and our community with different backgrounds and needs. Students, families, for that reason, feel very welcome at our schools. And we are united. We are all working towards this, the same goal, for students to succeed and make our community better. We unite with teachers, administrators, and our community to make this happen. So with that, we are trusted, inclusive, and united. And so I will be providing you all with pins, so hopefully you can all wear them next week. And so we will be celebrating our members next Thursday on May 22nd with a celebration. And we will also be celebrating our June 2025 retirees, including Robert Johnson, who you just heard. He has been tremendously a valuable member, because he's always giving back, not only to our union, but Vista Unified in general. And I think yesterday when we had our retirement, or the district had the retirement celebration, I was reminded of that because when his name was called, there was a cheer, like to say it's not just classified staff that know him, but the board, administration, and teachers know who he is. So I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Robert. Also, later tonight, the board, you'll be given the opportunity to approve a memorandum of understanding that addresses summer school prep. This is just to allow our classified employees to get compensated for doing tasks that are not part of their daily duties, but are very much needed to assist with prepping for the summer. So it's just a way of, we want to collaborate, but let's just make sure we get compensated as well for that extra work. Also, we are going to be, or rather you are going to have the opportunity to approve our sunshine proposal. We look forward to starting after tonight. We are ready to start negotiating with the district. The negotiating team has decided to continue bargaining throughout the summer. We are classified employees, which means that many of us also are 12-month employees. So our work doesn't stop. So we don't necessarily take a break in the summer and restart in the fall. So for that reason, we have a dedicated team ready to continue moving forward throughout the summer and negotiate. And then lastly, I just want to acknowledge our student board members. Congratulations. This is such a wonderful and exciting moment for you all. So we wish you the best. Best of luck in your next endeavors, your next phase in life. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you all next Thursday. We will be sending an invitation to come and celebrate with classified employees.
Yes. Thank you so much. Put mine on right now. Can I put mine on now, or is it too early?
No, put it on. Robert and I have ours.
There we go. Thank you, Ms. Ramos. I put my pen on right now. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna move to item 10A. Adopt resolution number 25-31 to approve the renewal petition for North County. We will now move on to the agenda item regarding the North County Trade Tech School Charter School Renewal Petition. This is the second public hearing and action item as required by the California Education Code, section 47605. We will now open the public hearing for, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Adopt resolution number 25-31 to approve the renewal petition for North County Trade Tech Charter Renewal Petition. We will begin the staff's recommendation, findings. I'd like to invite staff to present the report on the petition, including their recommendation to the board. Staff will have up to 10 minutes for this presentation. Go ahead, Dr.
Very good. Thank you very much, President Morocco, Vice President Martin, and members of the Board of Trustees and student board members. This evening, I have the privilege of presenting the staff recommendation report on North County Trade Tech High's charter renewal. This has 5 specific sections. We're going to first just give you an overview of the methodology that was used. This is a legal finding. It is reviewed not just by staff, by legal counsel, and they make their legal recommendations, which is reflected in this report. There are 5 sections that's listed for you: academic program achievement analysis, educational program, balance of students and campus groups, governance and organizational management, fiscal and business operations. This is going to feel a lot like the cycle that you all go through on a regular basis. We will also then share the expectations of the district whenever we do issue. There are some updated expectations, not necessarily because of the charter, but because things change, the law changes. And then our recommendations to the board based upon legal analysis. So if we go on to the next slide, slide 3 just gives you a quick overview. This began some time ago. Charter began working on this earlier in the school year. They submitted their initial petition in December. That began the staff review process, and then they're allowed to provide some revisions As you might know, with any report of this nature, sometimes you don't include everything on the first go. So there, when we provide them feedback, they have the opportunity to demonstrate where it would be located or listed. Then we go through the process of evaluation and looking at all items. When we look over here on the next slide, slide 4, the method and approach, this is the type and timeline of the overview of all items. This sort of thing is a legal analysis. So it is outlined in terms of education code. This is not an opinion of ours. This is our interpretation of education code. The timeline is the initial petition and all the way through to the second public hearing, which was earlier this evening for public to comment, and now we present you with the findings. For educational program, they met the legal definition of their educational programming. We provided you some evidence of that's there, including their WASC accreditation, which is a full accreditation without review for 6 years. So this is a very normal, wonderful accreditation cycle. And some of the other items that are clear evidence that's listed in the full report, which is well over 100 pages and attached to this board item. We also provided you a quick quote from a teacher, from a student about their teachers and how they feel that they're seen and heard. For our next item, academic program achievement analysis, this is a DOS school. That means it has alternative metrics. You're going to see in our recommendations later, we'll talk about that there is an expectation that the charter will work with us. That's because for DOS metrics, we don't have a board policy locally. That's normal not to have a board policy for DOS metrics. That means when you have a school that qualifies as being DOS, you have to work with them on determining what those metrics are. This is a new provision. So we provided you some of the evidence that shows academic progress from previous scores through in both English language arts and mathematics. Charter reports, they see plenty of room for growth. They have strategies in place to address many of these items. They are not necessarily pleased with their results. They're looking for higher levels of results, but they are showing the legally required progress required. On slide 7, we have the balance of student groups and admissions. We found evidence that they were in compliance on all items. We did find a few items where their applications and processes did not list in line with their practice. So we've made recommendations and they've committed to revising those to make sure they're clearly communicated to the community. Here is the sort of overarching message. They admit all students. They don't even have a lottery. They're admitting all students at this time. So it's not possible to be out of balance. And their student metrics do indicate that they're serving our community as a whole. On slide 8, the governance and organizational management, we saw clear evidence of compliance with the Brown Act. This was a big change in charter school management organizations. To become Brown Act compliant, they were already in compliance. We found a few areas for them to basically look for some improvements, but they were overall in full legal compliance. They met all legal requirements and definitions. They have a principal on site each day as the equivalent of their chief executive officer. They're going through a transition. We actually have 2 people sitting in the room this evening if they choose for a rebuttal on the report. As Phil moves to Chloe, and we thank them for their service as being the chief executives of the organization. For physical and business operations review, we did a full internal review, received legal analysis and compliance. They did meet all legal definitions. We did find that some of their items that we requested a revision on, that you'll see in evidence, had to do with they have strategies for expanding student opportunity and for growth. But we have not necessarily seen evidence that that will happen. So we've asked them for some revised number of considerations for projection growth. But overall, their multi-year projection, regardless of a revision, they are fully above any compliance measures of monitoring of ed code or district requirements. Their financials look very solid, very clear. Their organization actually owns the building they're in, so they don't have any of the necessary facility costs and maintenance costs that we're used to here at the district. So it's a little different than other charters that we work with. In looking at slide 10, we give you our overall expectations of staff recommendations. We have communicated the 3 renewal expectations over to the team. First of all, for special education students, we are saying by July 10th, we need the charter that they have a clear plan in place on how they're going to meet all obligations under current ed code with all updates. So they would be working with us if the board were to renew their charter by that July 10th date, they would have to have this memorandum of understanding on file with the district for that. The second is by July 10th, we would be seeking that they revise some of the projections and revise their numbers in those areas. So that way we could see that. However, even with those revised projections, they surpass any legal requirement for those finances. That was the second area that was a request. The third goes all the way to the end of next school year, meaning they would be working with the district in this upcoming school year to specify those DOS metrics. And there would be an agreement on file. Those metrics would be the measure that you would be coming back to the board on their next renewal or for any monitoring whatsoever on their progress. It would be applicable for the entire charter renewal period. So although we would have this school year to work with them on it, it would be retroactive to the date of the renewal. Therefore, based upon meeting all legal requirements, based upon staff's full review of the petition and legal counsel's review of all items, we are recommending that Vista High Schools District's Board of Trustees approve the renewal of North County Trade Tech High School's charter petition for a 5-year term from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030. That concludes the report. The outlines next steps was, again, we would communicate the results of what happens to the charter. They're here this evening for any rebuttal if they should have. They are afforded an equal opportunity to my presentation time to theirs. So if I go shorter, they get shorter. So I'm going to finish up here closely. And then it will be for board questions to staff. The actual questions at this juncture go to staff, not to the charter, if there are any of those questions. And then it would be for the board's president prerogative to call it up. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Losher. Thank you for your staff to staff for your presentation. At this time, we will give the charter school an opportunity to respond to the staff recommendation. Representatives from North County Trade Tech School may now address the board. We will have up to 10 minutes to provide your comments.
Hi, good evening. We just want to express our gratitude for the collaboration with the district on this process and say that we concur with the findings and we look forward to continue working on our charter here. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Losher.
Are there any other speakers? Thank you for your response. At this time, I will open the floor for board member questions, or comments regarding the staff recommendation and petition. Any questions?
Just point of clarification, discussion and questions and how many minutes per trustee?
I'm doing pretty well on time. I would say, how much, like 10 minutes? Maybe 5.
Well, I just want to know for just kind of pacing the rest of the meeting, so
5 minutes.
as long as we're clear.
Yeah, 5 minutes per trustee. And then if there's still remaining, we can go through and do another round. Did you have a comment, trustee Alvarado? No questions?
I can go last.
Okay, anyone else? Dr. Losher, do we know, or maybe, I'm the principal, do we know how many students are total at this school?
Yeah, that's actually in the report. We can pull that up for you.
Corey,
I have it.
do you have it off the top of your head, Corey?
158.
Okay, okay, so it's a small school.
Yeah, historically, it's been in the neighborhood of 130 to 180 in the past 5 to 10 years.
Okay, that's my only question. I do have a comment, but if you'd like to ask, question.
Do the demographics of this high school match the demographics of Vista Unified, both with socioeconomic, students with IEPs, and then race and ethnicity?
Yes, ma'am. According to statistical analysis, it met the definition of being within statistical reason of reflecting the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else questions? Comments? I'll just add a comment. I happened to see Miss Avila from the Vista Teachers Association last night, and I happened to ask her about this. And her comment was that Trade Tech High works very well with their union. So, and I did get a chance to ask Ms. Ramos about it, but so that was the feedback I got from the teachers.
You can do a comment now?
Sure, of course.
I'm happy to support this application. I visited Trade Tech in the past. Part of, what we have often heard, some of these kids that, do not thrive in environments that are, comprehensive high schools, but do thrive in these environments where it's hands-on. And so lucky to have seen many of these students be celebrated and recognized also at the Vista Chamber Student of the Month celebration. And with, opening up those opportunities, I'm glad that, we are also opening up for those hands-on skill sets, and so proud to support this, when keeping Trade Tech High open for another 5 years.
Thank you, trustee Vargas. Any other comments, questions? Did you have one final comment? Oh, well, the one comment that I have is that, I know that a lot of the student body at Trade Tech are students that do better at that school than they would in our schools. So I think they provide a very unique service for our district. And so, I think that's very unique. I want to know if our student board members have any comments about this. Do you understand what's going on? Yeah, any comments about it? No? So we're on the
Just to give them more information, charters have to renew their application every 5 years, and it's based on a certain criteria that the state of California determines. And so every year, the district that approved the charter, it could be the local district or the county office of education, has to renew it. So this is a process that we go through with charters every 5 years. It's procedural, but sometimes some charters don't do their due diligence, but tonight we have one that has done their due diligence and is working very well in this community.
Thank you. Is there any more questions or comments? Seeing none, let's see. Thank you for your, if there are no further questions or comments, I will now entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 25-31, which recommends approval for the charter renewal petition for North County Trade Tech High School for a 5-year term from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2030.
I move to approve 10A.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Alvarado. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Markov. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The vote is recorded as follows, 5 ayes, 0 nays and 0 abstentions. The resolution is adopted. Thank you. This concludes the charter school renewal item. Thank you to the staff, school leadership, and members of the public who participated in this process. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we are moving to item 10B, ratify purchase orders. Is there, do we have a motion?
I move to ratify the purchase orders.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Marco, the second by trustee Alvarado. Does either one of you want to speak to the motion? Okay, I will say that I am abstaining from the vote. I sold I did still sell my stock in Amazon. I no longer have that. I do have stock in Costco. So I do need
So it
to.
still needs to remain here.
Well, technically I can vote, but in order to avoid any appearance of involvement, I will abstain from the vote. Okay, so we have a motion second. And if there's no further comments, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And 1 abstention. So the motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Moving on to item 10C. And we have the motion to rescind the prior approval out of district. We have some common comments, so the whole comments. So we will start with Nancy Oakley.
Good evening, members of the board, staff, and community members. I'd like to take a moment to gently challenge a common narrative we sometimes hear, the idea that being a career politician is somehow a bad thing. In truth, when somebody invests their time attending conferences, going through trainings, and advocating tirelessly for their community, that's not something to criticize. That's something to respect. If the dedication eventually leads to a role of greater responsibility, one that comes with a taxpayer-funded position, it makes sense. They've done the hard work, they've shown up. What I find troubling though, is when public positions are treated like something to be bought rather than earned. These days it's possible to step into roles from unpaid board seats to the highest office in the land without meaningful experience or demonstrated commitment to service. That's not how trust in public leadership is built. And speaking of trust, I want to share a concern that strikes at the heart of our responsibilities here. The decision to rescind an item that has already been approved presents serious challenges. It risks making this board appear disorganized or worse, incompetent. It erodes the trust and transparency that our community deserves from its leaders. And most significantly, it stands in contradiction to Board Law 9005, which calls on us to treat everyone with dignity and respect. Reversing a decision already made doesn't just reflect on policy, it reflects on how seriously we take our word, our process, and the people we serve. Leadership is a form of care, and care means being steady, thoughtful, and above all, trustworthy. Let's hold ourselves to that standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oshman. Ash, the next one is Ash Khan Jones. I hope I said that right.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, superintendent. I actually sent an email recently urging the board to vote against this item. I believe it's very important for board members to be able to travel to events. This is where board members will meet with other board members, other stakeholders that will allow them to implement the best practices similarly to what I said in my email. And abiding by and operating by the best practices is ultimately what determines how good the school board here is going to function and the school district itself will function. I myself was at an event recently, which I believe funding was rescinded for that event as well for any board members here to attend. It was the California School Boards Association event over in Washington, DC, and I believe that was an amazing event where it would have been important to see board members there as well, because there was school board members from all across the state, all 58 counties here in California, county board members, superintendents from all over, including
Keep to the topic of 10C, which is regarding the rescission of the yeah, because this is going off.
well, it relates to this item in that it draws parallels in that these events are just important to attend for board members here to learn and operate by the best practices, because as I think everyone here would acknowledge, no board is totally perfect. There's always room for improvement and growth on that front. So that was the comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And finally, we have Lillian Serrano.
Good evening, board. My name is Lilian Serrano, and I'm a resident of Area 2. Earlier today, I sent an email sharing my concerns with item 10C, but I also felt compelled to come in person. I came because I want to hear directly from my representative or President Morocco about why she brought forward this agenda item to rescind her previous vote to approve travel funds for Trustee Vargas and Alvarado to attend the NALEO Education Fund Conference. I want to be clear. I came in good faith, expecting to hear a clear explanation from Trustee Morocco behind her decision to bring forward this agenda item, and in hope that the rest of the board will uphold their previous vote and commitment to diversity. It's hard to make sense of this reversal. NALEO is a respected, nonpartisan organization that supports Latino leaders in advancing equitable education policy. This is part of this board's stated commitment to equity and professional development. We know the issue is not money, since today Trustee Morocco is requesting funding for her own travel to Washington, D.C. at nearly twice the cost per person of the NALEO training. So if it's not about money and it's not about the value of professional development, then I think it's fair to ask, why single out this trip? From where I'm standing, it looks like a political maneuver. As a constituent, I respectfully urge this board to reject item 10C and affirm your commitment to equal opportunity, professional development, and representative leadership for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on, I will read the script. At our April 17th meeting, the board took action to approve a consent item for out of district travel and out of district and overnight travel. This included authorization for trustees Vargas and Alvarado to attend the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials Conference on July 22nd through the 24th in Atlanta, Georgia, at a cost to the district of $5,700. So I have prepared a statement as to my reasons why I brought this back. I voted for this, I voted in favor of this at that meeting based on what one of the trustees said, which was that this conference had an education track. Upon looking at the agenda after the meeting, I saw that this wasn't exactly what I would define as a track. It was two panels, two 90-minute panels. One is the future of education, and the other is fostering school board and superintendent relations. Both of these are items that we already pay CSBA to train our board trustees for. At a time when we are making budget cuts, and we are asking everybody in the district to tighten our belt, I just can't see a redundancy like this. It would be fiscally irresponsible for us to do that. Sometimes our legal team also provides this, so sometimes it's even a redundancy of 3 times. Secondly, the mission statement of NALIO is increasing Latino political participation in the country. While NALIO says that it's a nonpartisan, I would like to note that the original name for the organization is the National Association of Latino Democratic Officials. As a Democrat, I don't have a problem with that, but what concerns me is the slippery slope that it opens up. Right now, we are 4 Democrats and 1 Republican. We have to be very careful about if we're going to cross that line from elected official representatives to going into the political realm. What happens, and I apologize to Trustee Markov, I'm going to use you as the example. What happens if Trustee Markov wants to go to, for example, the Heritage Foundation, which I don't think he would, but a Heritage Foundation conference, all right? And we've paved the way for him to do that, and we know that their education policy is not beneficial to our students. But if we open this up like this to a general conference, I'm worried that we would be going down that slippery slope and we would face allegations of gifting of public funds if we denied him or someone else to go to something that we disagreed with politically. I would like to note that on May 6th, NALIO had a wonderful workshop. It was STEM, it's called STEM. And it was Preparing Our Latino Youths for the Future, I believe was the name of it. I would have approved that. If you two had come for that, I would approve that all day, every day, because it's the panel. My concern is about opening this up, and this is not personal at all. It is not personal, it's not political, it is concerns that I have. I think my concern is that the damage that we could do by breaching the political barrier could end up with far worse ramifications than the benefits of going to this one conference. Finally, the next item that I really have concerns about is that this was funded with Title II funding. Title II funding, is according to the federal government, is a grant that its purpose is for improving teacher and principal quality. 2, recruiting and retaining effective educators. 3, providing equitable services to private schools. 4, supporting effective instruction. 5, addressing the needs of low income and minority students. And that has more to it that says the program also focuses on ensuring that low income and minority students have access to effective teachers and principals. I don't see with either one of those panels where that meets that criteria. And I'm very concerned that if we are funding it with a grant and we're doing it erroneously, that there could be ramifications from that too. So those are my concerns. And so I will be voting in favor of this. I understand the concerns about sticking with something, but I also think that if we do if we are going to, we have a fiscal responsibility. And also, one more thing that comes to mind is, we talk about equity, but we closed a middle school that had a very high,
Point of order, what does that have to do with rescinding travel to Naleo?
I'm showing that the equity, I'm answering the public comment about equity.
Public comment.
The public comment said about equity, and we got many public comments in our inbox that talked about equity. I'm saying that if this school that was 88.9% socioeconomically disadvantaged, it was 27.3% English learners and 84% Hispanic. And when that vote took place, I was the lone no vote, and based on equity, I was the lone no vote. And if we're gonna talk about equity, I worry about what do we tell these students? If we say, well, we didn't honor equity when the board members, when the board voted to close that school, but now we're gonna honor it for the school board members. I worry about what the message is that we send to those students who are now on buses that they're bused from the east side of Vista to Oceanside, and sometimes an hour or more each way. And so those are my concerns about, I just don't think that makes our students feel very welcome. I don't think that equity should protect the board, should be used for the board members and ignored for the students. So, okay, I'm done. Oh, and before we get started, I would like to release the high school students. It is 7 o'clock. You may go, and there will be somebody back up to assign your cards. Thank you for coming. You're welcome to stay. Okay, so do I? Okay, is there more discussion?
Can I just jump in and ask a question? Two questions. Okay, is this a motion? That's the first question. The second question is, like, this is an agenda item. So is there going to be a discussion with the agenda item? And then it's going to become the motion, and then we're going to vote on the motion? Is that, I'm confused.
So I have a script, and I will be reading the motion. If you would like me to make the motion now, or do you want to have discussion first?
And then do we discuss if there's a second, or we discuss without something? Can we?
No, I think we need a second. We're gonna discuss.
Thank you. Second of what? For
For the motion, just like a regular motion.
If there's not a second, the motion dies on the floor.
Yes.
Just so you understand.
Okay, so I'll make a motion. I move to rescind the board's prior vote to approve the expenditure of $5,700 for trustee Vargas and Alvarado to attend this conference. Is there a second?
I move to amend the motion.
No, you second. Yeah.
Oh, I second it, but can I move to amend the motion?
Oh, before there's a second, I think.
This is why we need governance training.
Yes.
Before there is a second, I believe we don't need well, let's just do the second and then you can make a motion because we can vote on that.
Okay, I second.
Okay, and then you wanted an amendment?
I move to amend the motion to reconsider by adding the following, that the school board redirect the funding of $5,700 with an additional $4,300 to directly serve the professional development of teachers or administrators working with English learners, and that Dr. Doyle be consulted to identify the area or school site of greatest need. This amendment is not about denying opportunity to anyone based on background or ethnicity. It's about prioritizing outcomes over optics. If we really want to honor our Latino students and our families, the best thing we can do is invest directly.
I second the amendment. Okay, so now we would take a vote on the amendment to the motion. Okay, or unless there's any discussion, is there any discussion on the amendment to the amendment? Go ahead.
there is, on my end, thank you for bringing this item. It's interesting, trustee Morocco said that a lot of things in the remarks, part of it is like the education check-in. So when we talk about the mental health conference, check out the agenda. I've never attended before. But when we talk about mental health, when we talk about Medicaid, when we talk about the workforce, which is all part of the agenda, that is all interconnected with education, because in our community, our schools are not, just individual schools. We are connected with the city governments or county government, with their nonprofit CPOs. And so to have these experts come, to have these networks builds upon, our opportunity to expand the services and also learn from other boards. Because once again, when the community member said that we're not perfect and we're absolutely not, but one of the things that we can bring back to make sure that we impact our students, and when we impact that, then that has long-term impact on the, academic growth, the attendance, we've seen that. And with that, I have no issues with providing professional development. We've done that. We're gonna talk about the budget. And if we were gonna talk about professional development, like we should definitely have a longer conversation about that in our budget to benefit not just our educators, but to benefit all staff members in our school district. And so with that, the other component is about Title II funds. Dr. Dole, you were asked, is this an appropriate fund of expenses to use under that for this type of conference? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, sure. Dr. Oshie can come up as well. The Title II is a professional development source. I think trustee Morocco brought out some elements of its intended purpose. So professional development for governance team would be an appropriate use of it. It's a very minor amount of money within our Title II allocation. But Dr. Oshie, do you want to add any more specifics?
Sure. So there is a process that we go with for reviewing appropriateness of funding. So actually, it goes in, and when there's professional development recommended, we look to maximize all restricted funding sources. And we look to see what we can do for that. That allows for us to have more fund in the general fund unrestricted for other items. So this item, actually, there was a consultation. Staff consulted some people from the county office, and they concurred that this actually meets the definition for Title II funding. And that was the review process that took place. They weren't aware of all of the specifics. They don't know who. No consultation of who is done in that process. But we went through, and then final authority on that came back to me. I reviewed all items and did concur that this does seem to meet all of the definitions based upon the conference for what would be required for Title II funding. The specific language, it does call out principals, it does call out teachers, it calls out actually all school and district leaders within the language. So it is for all leaders within the organization.
Perfect. And the second question, Dr. Dole, can you talk about the benefits from your perspective and what you've seen when, school members get to travel, get to attend conferences, especially, when it comes to making sure that, we bring back resources or any other additional benefit?
Well, I think that just historically, it's been advantageous for board members to deepen their knowledge and broaden their, we call it a social network of other board members across California and the United States. So we always recommend that board members, as we will recommend later tonight, additional governance and training for board members, so we can be more effective and efficient in the work we do governing a school district. There are many examples of the relationships board members develop with other board members, both locally, regionally, and across the state and nation, that have actually been an advantage to our school district. A couple examples would include the work that we did during the pandemic. We were one of the first districts to respond to our community, opening up centers, medical centers. We actually had the largest medical centers in North County, larger than the hospitals. That was a result of the work with our elected officials in Sacramento, is an example. And another example is we were one of the first school districts in the county to get approved for community schools. A lot of that had to do with some of the relationships our board members developed with folks in Sacramento. So examples of that. So absolutely, as trustee Markov pointed out, we need to continue to deepen professional development for our teachers, in particular for students in the categories he describes, English learners and others. But we also need to broaden and deepen the opportunities for our board members to be, hone their craft and broaden their social network.
I would like, because you brought up Title II funding, and I want to piggyback off that about what I'd like to ask Dr. Wisher a question. The Title II funding that I was looking at, everywhere I saw, one of the critical components of meeting the criteria for Title II funding was data driven. Could you tell us how it is data driven to attend a panel that would be about relationship with board members to superintendent or, finding out about the future of education? What is the data matrix that is used to determine that, the benefit to student outcomes?
Sure, so I want to make sure I understand the question correctly, so forgive me if I restate it. You want me to answer a question about data specific to not the conference?
No,
but
no,
to-
no, I'm the conference, the panels that were on the conference. One of the requirements of Title II funding
Sure.
is that there is a data-driven component to show how it benefits the student outcomes.
Sure, I can
It's gotta be-
demonstrate data. Yeah, I can demonstrate data in terms of improved student enrollment and in student outcomes, decreased student behavioral incidents for students that participate in community schools. A critical aspect of community schools is the ability.
That is not.
Yes, I will answer your question, ma'am. The ability of community schools to function depends upon complex interactions with the community, including those of social networks, including those of the social system, including Medicare, health insurance, the ability to access food stamps and other items and supports of the government. So those would be examples where this conference would talk about all of those topics, including federal funding, what is happening with educational federal funding at different levels, what is happening with federal law at this time and the impacts to our schools and what is happening, and to prepare us for those items. Yes, I could demonstrate all those.
Okay, except that, but we are already getting that information from CSBA, so that is already, we are getting that. Specifically, it has to, the NALEO conference that is dealing with all those other things is specifically tailored towards city council or state representatives or federal elected officials. I understand that there is some crossover, but I think at a local school board level, again, that's all stuff, isn't that all stuff that we're getting from CSBA?
Well, ma'am, I would say that's for your debate. You asked me if I could demonstrate metrics that would demonstrate those items, and that was my intent and my answer. That would be for your debate, whether you get those items between CSB or other sources.
Thank you. Trustee Vargas, you may continue, sorry about interrupting.
Yeah, there was another comment about NALEO, and NALEO is a nonprofit, but Dr. Gill, are we able to fund political conferences? If, like, for example, somebody wants to attend the Republican National Convention, the Democratic National Convention.
You can say that.
Well, we've never done it before, if that's your question. So I don't know, I don't want to give you an answer to that because that hasn't happened before in our school district. But what I can tell you is we've sent board members over the past 20 years to a whole variety of conferences that represent a whole variety of perspectives and politics across our nation.
Thank you.
Board Policy 1160, the Board of Education has a responsibility to actively advocate fiscal and public policy that supports the district school and the children in the community. To the extent possible, the board shall be proactive in defining the district's advocacy and agenda based on the needs of the district and the direction set forth in the district's vision and goals. Okay. I've never thought of myself as a politician. I'm a lifelong public servant. I served my country for 8 years. I served children in North County for 25. I've been on this board for 7. I've tutored homeless veterans. But you know what? As I reflect, I am a servant leader and I've gotten things for this district. I've gotten resources from this district. And that is from being proactive, attending resources, fairs, conferences, learning, with the federal, the state, the county, with nonprofits. Because of that, we have this phenomenal partnership with the Building Trades and the Workforce Partnership. Because of that, we got over $5 million with the SB HIP grant, which is a California grant in mental health. Because of that, we were the first in the county besides San Diego Unified to have community school funding, which saved jobs and brought extra resources to our neediest schools. Because of that, we were able to get grants from the Stewart Foundation to help fund the equity work that was taking place, which allowed us for one of the first equity policies in the state of California, which opened doors and really made us prioritize our funding at our schools that needed it the most. Because of networking with assembly members on both sides of the aisle, we received charter school reform 1505, 1507, when these charter schools were out of control. Trying to take our students when they had ridiculous metrics of you gotta give $3,000 and you gotta work, you gotta volunteer. Because of that, I was able to network and talk to County Board of Education trustees and stop that. So really, I mean, I found it kind of rich for you to like throw that at me, and then I thought about it and I was like, you know what, that's part of our board policy. Political processes. And it's rich coming from you who ran for like your Democratic, I don't know, Central Committee and Tri-City Hospital. I'm an educator. I serve these students. I bring resources, I close opportunity gaps, and I have more. I have a resume and receipts that show the work that I've done has brought intangible benefits for students. And it's so embarrassing that we serve 76% students of color. And you think that it's your decision to decide if Naleo is good enough or not. What do you know about Naleo? What would you even know about that? You seem to think that you're the smartest one on this board. And you get to decide whether Naleo is bipartisan or not. It's a shame. We're taking my time. You said we had 5 minutes each.
Not on this? No, that was.
I said for the whole meeting, and that's, again, it's embarrassing and it's a slap in the face. And as far as our community or our staff members and our principals and our administrators at this district, they're getting the professional development that is needed. We haven't said no to people. We use our resources, we use the funding the way it should be allocated. And we haven't said no. Anyone who's wanted to go and learn and deepen their knowledge so they can serve our kids appropriately, we have allowed for that. And we're using the resources that we have, the one-time funding and the grants that are specific to that, to do that. I think if we had more governance training and more professional development training for trustees, we wouldn't have these side maneuvers that are just abnormal. It's not typical of a board. And frankly, we should all be participating in some type of professional development because it is sorely needed right now. This is a mess. And it's a slap in the face of these brown and black students and the staff that we serve.
So I would like to respond. So my person that brought this to me, that was very upset about this, is my Latino husband and my Latino son. They were furious. They said this is a political organization. My husband used the word boondoggle, all right? I also would like to make a note that I did not personally attack you, but you personally attacked him, and that's very unprofessional. So I just want to note that for the record. I also wish that we had as much compassion and concern for those students that sit in the bus. Those brown students that sit in a bus, being bused from the east side of Vista and the unincorporated county to Oceanside. When there was another option. We could have moved Beaumont to Rancho Minerva and made a K-8 village. And those students who already are starting with a very difficult hand. That vote that I voted against, that vote that passed, that I voted against, made things that much more difficult for those students. And I wish the passion that you just showed to me, you had showed for those students that thing. And as far as Trustee Vargas, I would like to point out that I never said about the Republican Party or the Democratic DNC. What I said was that the Heritage Foundation is a nonprofit. It is a nonpartisan nonprofit. If you read their mission statement, it doesn't say anything about, it doesn't even say about politics, but we all know what they're about. Okay, we know that they're a political organization. Naleo, from what I went to their website and from what I read, it was very suspicious to me. It was not suspicious. I'm sure it's a great organization for us. as I said, there was the workshop that I thought was amazing. I would have supported that. But I just don't wanna open it up for things to open this up to things that may get us be more damaging to our students than beneficial. That's my point, and I just need to vote and correct my vote. Because I felt that as if I had been misled, and maybe it was my interpretation, but I had a different idea of what that word track was. And I was very surprised, and I don't interpret it the way that you do, obviously, so I just wanna correct my vote for my benefit, so that in the future, if I need to vote against someone else that's going to an organization that I don't approve of, an organization that maybe wants to do school vouchers or designate public education, that I can in good conscience vote no, because I am being consistent. And that's all there is here to this. So,
Can I just jump in? We're talking a lot about the NALEO conference and the panels that are there. And Sean actually, I think mentioned a couple of them, and Trustee Vargas also mentioned a couple of them. And for the record, I have a list of them in front of me that I will read out so that everybody has what's going on. The first panel, growth of the Latino community in the American South. Next panel, mental well-being for public officials. Next panel, federal policies and the Latino community. The next panel, the future of education. Next panel is the future of Medicaid. The next panel, AI regulations and technology developments. The next panel, financial landscape for state and local governments. Next panel, expanding home ownership for stronger communities. Next panel, investing in Latinas through financial empowerment and entrepreneurship. Next panel, land use 101. The next panel, meeting health needs of veterans and first responders. Next panel, professional development for Latinos in the corporate and public sector. Next panel, separating fact from fiction, a postmortem on the Latino vote of 2024. Next panel, strengthening mental health support for Latino communities. Next panel, emergency response to weather-related events. Next panel, fostering school board and superintendent relations. The next panel, AI in the workforce, opportunities, challenges, and policy considerations. And lastly, the last panel, meeting America's growing energy needs. When I read these, I did struggle a little bit to see how this is germane to what we do here in terms of helping our kids learn to read and write. You were hovering about 50% at grade level, across the board. And anyway, I understand that some of this might be related to wraparound services, community school efforts and things like that. And I appreciate that perspective. But anyway, I wanted to just kind of put this out there that this is not necessarily directly coming back to helping, our kids learn, our English learners. I feel like those teachers benefit from some direct help from our one-time funds, whether it's the Title II or whatnot, but that's all. I just wanted to put that out there so everybody's on the same page about what these panels are discussing. Thank you.
thank you, Trustee Markov. Any further discussion? Okay, so I will call for the vote for the amendment to the main motion, which was, Trustee Markov, would you mind repeating what it was?
I gotta find it. Okay, I had moved to amend the motion to reconsider your motion to reconsider by adding the following, that the school board redirect funding of $5,700 with the addition of $4,300 to directly serve the professional development of teachers or administrators working with English learners, and that Dr. Doyle be consulted to identify the area or school site of greatest need.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
A motion, the amendment, carries by a vote of 3-2. Then, Chris, do you need to know who voted how?
3 ayes, 2 noes.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, now we will return to the main motion, which is to rescind the travel funds. Is there any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so that motion fails with a vote of 3-2. So that means the amendment fails too.
So I make a motion to approve the funding for us and trustee Alvarado to travel to the Lael conference.
It's already, the motion to rescind failed, so the original motion stays in. You don't need to do that.
There's a motion on failed. I'm proposing a new motion.
A new motion, it wasn't agendized.
It's on the same topic. The original.
With if the motion to rescind failed, there is no need to
Failed motion, so I can introduce a new motion on the same topic.
But the motion's already carried. Okay, go ahead, introduce the new motion.
I make a motion to approve the funding from the interest of Alvarado that was originally voted on April 17th for the amount of $5,700 to go to the Lael conference.
Okay, that is still in play. The motion to rescind failed. So therefore,
The motion failed, but I can still introduce a motion.
it's already was approved on April 17th. It's already been approved.
But I want it on the record.
All right, go ahead. So. Okay, so is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by trustee Vargas, seconded by trustee Alvarado. Any further discussion? Questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay. So motion carries 3-2. Okay, moving on.
So let me jump in for a minute, because we have to sort out the minutes here. There's a number of things that just occurred, and again, we're not supposed to interfere, the board does their business. And so, President, what is your impression of the next steps for the superintendent and staff on this? The next, it's mine.
The amendment failed, so therefore there are no, because it was an amendment to the original motion and the original motion failed, the amendment failed, so there's no next steps.
So it was my understanding that the next steps was that we were to redirect the funds, because that was.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen because the funds are staying where they were at.
I just wanted to double check.
Mhm.
Chris, you have that information?
Can we get a break, please?
Certainly, yeah, 10-minute break.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, we are back. We are reconvening. Oh, I'm not gonna gavel. I love the gavel signs. Okay. We are going to talk about the summer governance workshop proposal and schedule.
All right, so at the previous board meeting, you asked us to bring back some additional information. And so we, Dr. Loescher and I have worked on just a background building information for the board members. It is an action item if you choose to take action. However, we still have one more month. And so if you feel like you would like additional information, we'll be ready to bring an action item back. The reason we're interested in you discussing this is you indicated that you would like to start governance training in July. So in order for us to do our job and prepare for the appropriate sessions in July, really need to have a decision in the next 30 days. So Dr. Loescher, take it away and walk them through it. This is a very brief presentation.
Very brief presentation indeed. So thank you very much, President Morocco, Vice President Martin, members of the Board of Trustees. It's an honor to have bring this item forward for your discussion on here. First of all, just a brief background from a previous presentation activity. We brought this to you in December of 2024, and so we're a new board to talk about governance options. So we're going to recall some of that information. I'll point out what's new on the item so that we can see it. We brought to you at that time the board policy series 9000 board bylaw and 9005, which states that we should be engaging in governance, professional development as a board. That's part of the expectation. We did that at December 17th at that meeting. So the board direction at the last regular board meeting was for summer governance workshops to look for that sort of model. So as we move to slide 2, we wanted to present to you some of what's been presented before. There's a group of agencies that have been recently used with the district. The Governance Corps, which is Michael Fullen, has been used. Legal Counsel with F3, you've engaged in a bit. Nicole Anderson's Associates has happened. We also brought to you that there are local state agencies. I'm just going to cover the top one there. The general local state agency is CSBAs. They run either Governance Basics, which is an online series, or the Masters in Governance series, which typically is not just for a board. You typically will go to one of their sessions, but it can be customized and we can request that information. There's also regional and national organizations based upon any number of strategies. We listed for you some of the ones which are the most common that boards in the Southwest are engaged in. The Aspen Group doesn't, and Augsburg. So from those, we had heard in December, not necessarily interest in many of those. So we did bring back 2 regional consultants. One was Ben Johnson, which is Bowtie Consulting. Mr. Johnson is a former board member, has been a multiple term board member, runs board governance for many boards, comes highly recommended. And he provided a quote for a series of half-day sessions. His recommendation was that you start with one half-day session, see how the fit is. The way he described it is board governance is a little bit like working through therapy. You got to meet the therapist, work through that sort of thing. So he proposed you start with that one session. You may schedule others, but I will share with you what his recommendations were. We did have a board member request the Agency Education Support Services. This is actually a law firm. It's AALRR, which is a large organization. We did reach out. I did personally reach out to ESS that evening that the request was made. I did speak with them on the following day, but they did not, were not able to provide a quote before we were publishing our agenda. I do understand that they have reviewed our existing quote, and I either have earlier today or have mailed or providing some kind a quote at some point. But my understanding is it would be more money than the quote that was provided. So when we take a look at the calendar proposal, different agencies propose different things. For example, you have some agencies like Mr. Johnson suggested that you start with some half-day sessions, you see how that fit works. And then from there, you make a decision whether you want 3 or 4 sessions, whether you want specific outcomes, or after the first session, it doesn't feel right. That's the sort of notion here. Other organizations recommend no less than 6 months. Some of up to a year of engagement and would ask for that. Other places will be in between. The approach then that is recommended are the multiple half-day sessions. They typically recommend them on weekends because many board members are working and they want them to be able to participate. So they generally make a recommendation. There's generally a pre-session interview that occurs. That happens with the superintendent and the board leadership. So it would be the board president, vice president that start with the pre-session discussion. They'll review a lot of the items, board votes, other things, so they can get a feel for where everything is at. And then they typically propose some overview broad goals. I just gave you a sample of those broad goals for your discussion. Again, the two service proposals that were directly requested were these two items. Areas both have a lot of recommendations from various boards and endorsements from various boards, but there is some cost differentiation that we would anticipate between the two agencies. A sample calendar for your review would be just if we started in July, which was what the board had requested, would be starting about Saturday, July 19th, and then it's recommended about every 2-3 weeks thereafter is simply what's recommended until you get to a point where there's sort of a resting point. And then from there, oftentimes we'll recommend some follow-up sessions as part of a regular meeting. That's all by the board's decision for what it is that you want to hear and what you do. It's such a joyous sound, isn't it?
I know.
We're educators.
I have 4, so it still brings a smile to my face.
It's awesome. So before I hand it back to our president, this idea of these two possible agencies, both of them are great. We recommended the first one, the bow tie agency, because it might be a good like it's not a huge financial investment to see how you all feel with the process. If we went with ESS, that's another opportunity, and we can absolutely bring you back a quote prior to the next June board meeting. I can tell you just knowing that organization, that they're gonna recommend a much more robust contract. So that'll be like 6 months to a year. Different approach, much more in-depth training. So we have experience with both of them, so.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lusher. I just for disclosure, I'm the one that requested ESS, and that organization came highly recommended to me from Stacy Carlson on the San Marcos School Board and Kathy Rawlings on the Carlsbad School Board. They both had wonderful things to say about them. Very, very, very highly recommended.
Good organization.
Yeah, so that's why I asked for them to be put on the agenda or put there. Okay, so I would like to open this up for discussion. Let's take about 2 to 3 minutes each to discuss where we're thinking on this, what the next steps that each of us would like to hear. So who would like to begin? Go ahead.
I do like the idea of, the half-day formats. I think that would be a 4-hour block. I think that's reasonable. Saturday would work for me, but I don't work, so this would be fine with me. I am leaning towards, after looking these up, I'm leaning towards educational support services, but I'm open to discussion on that.
Thank you, trustee Martin, and anybody else?
I also like the half-day format. I was looking at the sample schedule. I think at least 2 of those I have conflicts with. I don't know if I can send someone my calendar.
Yeah, we could change the dates.
Okay, that's what I did. I shared, Chris has my calendar.
Those were just an idea, so we can make an adjustment.
Okay, anyone else?
Dr. Locher, you mentioned the contract for Tech Consulting as a school board member that has practical governance, but what about education services?
Two different things, correct. So Mr. Johnson is a former school board member, multiple terms that engages in this activity. He works for both his own firm, but is also a consultant for various other agencies and other firms. For ESS, that is a subcomponent of a law firm. They do superintendent searches, they do governance training, they do full policy reviews. Oftentimes, with superintendent searches, you do governance immediately following, because just as you all are elected and that constitutes a new governance team, the superintendent's a member of the governance team as the chief executive. So when they're added in with the new board, oftentimes that's a service that they offer. So, all highly regarded, all come very highly recommended, with many school boards recommending.
So just to add on to that, Mr. Vargas, trustee Vargas, the ESS team may or may not have a representative that has been a previous board member. They do consult with board members, but it's a large team, so we might be able to determine that.
Dr. Doyle, I actually have spoken to them and they do.
Yeah,
They do have
a
a-
big team.
Yeah, so they do, and also, keep in mind that when the proposal comes in, that they don't they're local, local to us, so they would not charge travel fees, so.
They're all local organizations.
But the bow tie charges travel fees, they told me that they don't charge travel fees.
When I talked to them, they said both of them include quotes that say the amount and travel fees. So they both stated that they
Alright,
would,
thank you.
yeah, they would do that, but it doesn't mean they will have overnight fees or other items, but clearly if you have a half-day workshop, sometimes they come before or after, but it's included in the whole thing,
Thank you.
correct?
And what's the cost difference between both of them?
I have not had an opportunity to review, but the ESS proposal, like I said, it did not come in before the publication date. I understand that they've sent something out. I'll have to review it. I can report that in a Farley letter. My general understanding, it would be about double the cost per session. I don't know what the session commitments would be because I haven't reviewed that yet.
Thank you, and trustee Vargas, I, just to let you know, I was contemplating pulling this item just because we didn't have the proposals, but I thought at least we could sort of discuss it. So that was my thinking.
Well, and it's helpful for us as the team to hear you discuss this as we prepare for June.
Yeah, no, I mean, we just had a whole conversation about fiscal responsibility, so I don't have a budget and, you know, not committed to this point in time. Happy to revisit in the future, but, I mean, either one of them are good. I know we have a budget right now for one, that's $5,755,000.
No, it was, the total budget for Bowtie Consulting was about, $1,500 per session plus travel, possibilities of not to exceed. So he suggested 4 sessions, the not to exceed amount would be about $8,000, but it was a per session basis. So you would have the right to stop after the first session in that case. I believe the amount listed on the proposal, don't quote me, is 2,000, not to exceed 2,500.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, something around there.
Anyone else?
For me, I'm excited about learning as a team, as a governance team. I'm amenable to anyone. I will change the dates, if necessary to meet the needs of my fellow trustees. Because I know we're gonna do better things when we are working with the same norms and values in terms of governance, even if we have different ideas or perspectives. So whatever is the will of the rest of the trustees, I'll make it work.
Okay, thank you. And so I think at this point, trustee Martin and trustee Morvo, did you want to say anything? Have any comments or questions?
I just have one. I would like to see the other proposal before we make a decision, but I think the format and everything, and yeah, I agree.
Okay, I agree too. So I would say.
Can I jump in just for a moment? Again, just for clarification, so we can do our work in between board meetings. So this is, again, been helpful for us tonight. This is good for us to get all of you together and talk about it. So thank you for having a discussion about this. So tonight, and you do not need to vote on any item. There doesn't need to be action on this item, but I'm requesting some direction. And what the direction I'm requesting is, we will identify 3 dates in July, perhaps moving into August, so at least we can get the dates on the calendar, and Chris will work with all of you to find that. Are you guys comfortable with that? So at least when we talk with these 2 agencies, we can say, we know the dates, these are the dates, can you commit to that? And then we can actually bring you an actionable item in June.
Yes, that works for me. How about you guys? Okay, yes.
Very good.
Is there anything else you need?
Nope, that's all.
Okay, so then why don't we just postpone the rest of this conversation for another day? Thank you. Moving on. Oh, by the way, student board members, thank you so much for being here. People who are watching at home, the baby is just juicing. Thank you, ladies, so much. It's been an honor to get to know you. Please come back and visit. I don't know if we're allowed to, but I'm willing to let you put a little chair. Yes, if you wanted to. And so, thank you so much. And Fatima, maybe you'll be doing this again next year, which would be amazing. We'd love to see you back. And the best of luck to all three of you. Have a wonderful summer, and to you two that are going on to wonderful things. We're so proud of you. I can't even tell you how proud of you. So congratulations and best wishes to the future. We're gonna miss you. You can if you want, honestly, if you want to come during our summer sessions, you're more than welcome to come. Well, I think I think we can carry over and let them have a seat on it, as Thank you. By the way, thank you for all the input that you've helped us understand. It's been so helpful. Always makes me cry. Okay, all right, we are moving on. So the next is it 10? Are we still on 10? Then G. E. Sorry, I'm sick. E, accept the audit reports for 2023-24 fiscal year.
Yes, thank you, Board President Morocco, Vice President Martin, and members of the Board of Trustees. This is a procedural vote for you to accept the audit findings. There were 2 audit findings. First, just as a brief bit of background on this. I've worked with Ms. Shackelford in full disclosure for over a decade and a half. And one of the things that I love about working with Ms. Shackelford is she chooses the toughest auditors. And that's why she chose Bailey. We're working, going into our 5th year, this upcoming year. And the reason why we do that is we want to surface everything we can. This year with Bailey and their incredible collaborations, they did present this. We don't have, any direct knowledge of their process, what they're doing. They found 2 findings. That is the fewest number of findings that we've had in the last 5 years. The 2 findings are on 2 general topics that we are required to disclose to the board. We know you have the letter. We are required to say it out loud to make sure that you know that we acknowledge it. The first is on how some items are logged. And that is the way we do many things. Between our budget and our time, we maximize our resources, which means we change resource codes and logs on the back end. That is something that is common in educational practice. This is one of the most common findings that you'll find out there. It's so that way we can maximize restricted resources. For example, when it came to Title III ESSER funding, we had deadlines that changed. And when the deadlines changed from the federal government, the choice was you can either tell us how you would have spent those dollars, which means changing resource codes, or you can give the money back. We chose to change the codes. That is accurate. So we concur with the finding. The second is we are involved in a massive effort in the state of California, moving from a federal-based system known as ACEs and assets for after-school programs to ELO, extended learning opportunities, which is a California-based one. And as we do that, we're actually mixing 2 systems as we go through this, which have 2 different attendance requirements. And this is also a fairly common finding that we have some logs that were not done correctly in there. There's no financial implication to these. We still retain all our money, but procedurally, we'll have to look at this as we move forward. But we do anticipate as we move forward with assets, ACEs, and the full ELO conversion, because we run so much after school. One of the notes you'll see in there is we far exceed after school requirements in every way, shape, or form. And they noted that was part of it. So those were the 2 findings. We acknowledge them, we agree with them, and we thank Bailey for their incredible work on this topic.
Thank you, Dr. Loescher. I will open up discussion. We should probably do a motion actually first, and then we can have discussion or questions. Are there any questions for Dr. Loescher? Go ahead, Trustee Martin.
Thank you for that report, Dr. Loescher. I am assuming that you're looking at the significant risks that were identified, the management overall.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the ones that were addressed. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. And furthermore, this is an extensive report. We debrief with the team and we go through and develop an action plan and then review that back with them.
This is the item I had on the screen while he was talking.
Thank you, Dr. Mosher.
Yes.
And Dr. Doyle. Okay, anyone else have any questions for Dr. Mosher? Dr. Mosher, it's a Dr. Mosher show. Anybody? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve item. 10.
I move to accept the audit reports for 2023-2024 fiscal year. Tenny.
Thank you. Is there a second? A second. Okay, so moved by trustee Alvarado and seconded by trustee Markov. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 10F, it's the Rachel show.
I was gonna say,
It's the Rachel show, and I think we're gonna go quickly here.
The next four are related to the sessions we did earlier this evening.
Okay. So,
the first one's the MOU that.
MOU, do you need to do a presentation on that, or can
No,
we
they
just?
just have a presentation. I can explain it or answer any
Okay,
questions.
does anybody, would anybody like to have, Ms. D'Ambrosio, explain or answer any questions? For 10F. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the MOU between CSEA regarding summer school classified supports.
I move to approve 10F.
Thank you. Moved by trustee Alvarado. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by trustee Markov. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to 10G. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. D'Ambrosio? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve 10G. So moved. Okay, moved by trustee Mockroff. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Alvarado. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 10H. This is the Sunshine Agreement. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. D'Ambrosio? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve item 10H, BASD's Sunshine Proposal Successor Agreement 2025-28. 28, was that supposed to be 28? Oh,
3 years.
oh, yes, that's right.
Successors
Sorry,
of
my
the
bad.
agreement.
I'm tired. Between the district and CSEA and its chapter number 389, 5/15/25. Can I get a motion to approve that? So moved. Moved by trustee Markov. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Martin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 10I. Approve the Vista Teachers Association Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Unified School District. Is there any, for negotiations of reopeners for the 2025-26 school year? Any questions from Ms. D'Ambrosio? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve 10I.
I move to approve 10I.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Fine, let's see, 10J, is there any questions for Ms. D'Ambrosio? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the Vista Unified School District Sunshine Proposal to the Vista Teachers Association for negotiations of reopeners for the 2025-26 school year. Can I get a second, Ms. Martin, trustee Martin?
Second.
I'm sorry, I second the motion. Can I get, yeah.
So moved.
Okay, I moved by trustee Martin. Can I get a second? Second. Second by trustee Markov. I just thought you being a retired teacher would be nice for you to make the motion. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions, motion carries unanimously. 10K, approved, okay, so this is, okay, so I'm gonna ask Ms. D'Ambrosio to give a little bit more explanation about this. I didn't quite understand that. So Ms. D'Ambrosio, would you please explain it? Okay, just briefly, like 3 minutes.
I guess it was hard to set reverse. So a waiver is a process that the Vista Teachers Association, the school site, leadership, administration, and the district can come together to waive an article in the contract. And so there are a limit of sections that a teacher can teach in, secondary, middle, and high. And so they would like to waive that and have an advisory period. And the advisory period would be lessons. It did say in the waiver that there would be lessons directed by administration. So I asked a little bit of information about what type of lessons. And so PBIS, digital citizenship, artful learning, no place for hate, I ready practice, and all the different surveys. So that would be a time that this, the advisory period, teachers would have a group of students and they would do lessons that are aligned with those subjects.
Thank you. Any further questions for Ms. D'Ambrosio? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve item 10K.
Move to approve 10K.
Can I get a second? Second. Okay, moved by trustee Martin, seconded by trustee Alvarado. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And finally, 10L. Approve employment agreement for Dr. Eric Shigela for Assistant Superintendent of Education Excellence and Innovation. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. D'Ambrosio?
Yeah, just, can you explain the funding source? I see it's not here, general funds.
So it is Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. For the last few years, the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Excellence has been funded out of special funding. It does not come out of the general fund.
Dr. Lusher, maybe you should explain, you said it earlier this evening about how we utilize funds strategically.
Thank you. Whenever possible, we utilize whatever restricted funding source that's permissible to do things. When we came out of the pandemic, certain funding sources were developed. One of them was this funding source. We did not have an assistant superintendent at that time. Therefore, we were adding a position. Part of the purpose of adding the position was for improved student outcomes and addressing post-pandemic items. Therefore, it qualified for this restricted funding source. So we have used this for the last several years and it has carried through each audit and it is a permissible funding source.
So just a mental note for the board members, if this funding source were to go away, it would shift to an additional funding source when we bring that back to you. So the job would not go away. We're just strategic in how we utilize our funding.
Perfect. And right now, this is ongoing. Is there expression on this?
It is not ongoing funding.
No, it's not an ongoing funding. We have one more fiscal year after this one for expenditures.
And that's what I meant when I said it would shift to a different funding source when we exhaust that funding source, which is typical practice. You utilize the most restricted first.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for that question, trustee Alvarado, trustee Vargas. Okay, is there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve. I'm going to make the motion to approve the employment agreement for Dr. Eric Shigela for Assistant Superintendent, Education Excellence and Innovation effective May 16th, 2025. Tomorrow. Oh, not tonight? You don't get your paycheck. You don't get it. Okay. Second. Okay, it's moved by President Bronco, seconded by trustee Alvarado. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Martin? Okay, seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we are moving on to the consent calendar. Does anyone have items that they'd like to pull? Okay, okay. Trustee Martin, go for it.
I'd like to pull 13E and 16B.
Anyone else have anything they want to pull? You know, because it came up in the comments, public comments about the travel that I requested. I forgot I remember which item it was, but can I, oh, here we go, overnight travel.
Overnight travel.
Yeah, so, it's, what, something K, let's see what it is, 13K. I would like to pull just to give an explanation of them. Okay, all right, so starting, does anyone else have any? No?
I have an item in 16B, but it's already been pulled.
Okay, so but you do have something that you wanna talk about, perfect, thank you for telling me that. All right, so let's start with the 13E. Well, first, before we do that, I'm sorry, we have to approve the consent calendar. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
You have to say what we're gonna pull. You make
Oh,
a motion to pull to
Thank
approve the
you.
consent calendar minus 13E, 13K, 16B. Did I miss anything?
No,
trustee
you got
Martin?
it, that was a pretty good motion, thank you. Thank you, trustee Alvarado. So, was that your motion? That was your motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, so moved by trustee Alvarado, seconded by trustee Markov. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, any abstentions? None. Okay, and so the motion carries unanimously. All right, so let's move to 13. Okay, and that is approved quarterly reports for Williams Uniform Complaint. Okay, so please, trustee, Martin, go ahead.
I just have a very quick question. There is one outstanding complaint unresolved regarding facilities. Can we get some information on that, please?
Do we have a page we want to review?
Be referring to the Williams report and then, specifically
Unresolved
that we have complaints that are unresolved in facilities, and I think that might be due to the age of our schools. Clarify?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm addressing, that's the one you wanted. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Yes, we have many unresolved facility issues, and when they do a Williams quarterly report, they report on them. And we take correction action as we have budget to do. And then when we're not able to meet exact timelines on items, will come up and it goes to an unfunded mandate list of items that is ongoing. We've provided for the board and Friday letters a listing, and it's an extensive listing, but that's correct. This is not an uncommon finding that they find anything. It can be anything from a faucet to a slippery area, and then we go off and we do address it after the finding is made.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other, are you satisfied?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I will entertain a motion to approve 13E.
Motion to approve 13E.
Okay, a second. Moved by trustee Martin, seconded by trustee Markov. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and so that motion carries unanimously. All right, we are moving on to 13A and it's okay. So item number 12 was brought up in public comment, and I would like to address that. So this was included in Friday letter offered to all of you all the board members. And it's an Edunomics, it's through Georgetown University. They have a certificate specifically for board members in education finance. And I have been utilizing them quite a bit over the past couple months. They have some great resources. They're amazing, some of their stuff. And I've done some of their webinars, but I wanted to pursue this. They do require, most of it's online, but they do require a 2-day stay in Washington, DC. So here's what the situation is. I asked to have this put on for the full $5,000 to include travel, only because I felt that if anybody else was going to partake of this, that it would be only fair that I get my travel covered. But if I'm the only one going, I am willing to put some skin in the game. Because this is such an important thing that I would cover my own travel. All I need is, it would end up just being $3,500 for their certificate program. So I wanted to explain that. So does anyone have anything else or any questions?
I do have any questions because it's a certificate from a university that it almost seems like you're paying for like classes. Like, you know, because
yeah.
universities offer certificates as an extension of programs and so just. It's in that context, when you hear about a certificate, it's like what someone would use for their resume?
No, not at all. This is the only job that I could get with it is school board member, because it's specific, it's a very niche, it's very specific, and they just call it a certificate program. It's actually all online. It's not classes. It's more like a series of lectures. That's like maybe one class, I guess. But it helps understand, they're really good about talking about maximizing student outcomes for them for the least amount of dollars. And that is really what the goal is. And so that's what attracted me to it. So, I mean, I really would urge my colleagues to at least look into it. Cause some of the resources that they have there just for free are amazing. They're really good. They have, like, they've gathered up information from every single school district in the country. And you can go and look at single school district and maybe sort it by either socioeconomic status or, special education, populations. And then it will show how much is spent per student and what the student outcomes are. So they have it broken down in a graph. So you might have you might have a school that has, in the upper left quadrant, that means they're spending less money and getting really high student outcomes. In the lower right quadrant, they're spending more money and getting not as good student outcomes. So it's really good. I would like to send them an email to say, hey, you, student, English learners, Dr. Lusher? Yes.
To answer the board member's question directly, like many professional development opportunities, there are 2 levels associated with it. You can purchase units. That's not what was put in for. So there's 2 levels, like a lot of county office education ones where you can go and then you can option to purchase your units on the side.
I would say that this is similar to like the masters in governance, for California, where you get a certificate as well.
Yeah, it's not, like I said, it's very specific to board members, so. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions?
Comment?
Certainly.
Yeah, no, I attended some of these workshops in the past. They are great, maybe for the community and for our school board, so definitely encourage all of our board members to explore. They're really interesting now. Please speak now, because finance schools is a very complex topic. And with that, this is a benefit to, not just our school board, but the work we do to impact student achievement.
And just to let you know, they do have, I don't know if they still have room in that one, but there's one in June in Kansas City. That date did not work out for me, so, but I just want to let my colleagues know that was available.
But it's too late for June because our board meeting is at the end of June, our regular board meeting, but
Right, well, no,
it looks interesting for September.
well, so the thing is that there is a required in-person meeting, but the rest of the certificate program is online, so it's not like you would complete it in a weekend. There's several online courses. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, does anybody else want to question anything that's on this travel? On this document? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve item 13K.
Second?
Okay, so moved by trustee Morocco, seconded by trustee Markov. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And now we will move on to 16B. Okay, let me pull that up. Contracts, okay. Sure. All right, I guess trustee Martin, were you the first one that actually pulled it? And then who wants to go first?
Mike.
Okay, trustee Markov.
I only have one. It's item 10, and I was just wondering if the district had anyone that could use Canva to accomplish that.
And while you're thinking, I was gonna ask a similar question, if there's someone in-house that could, like, or some.
That was my question.
Oh, we all had the same question.
Yeah, so we actually do a combination of Canva and them. So most of the work we do is with, as a matter of fact, the publication will come out in a couple of weeks. The year in review is a combination of Canva and the graphic artist. Yeah. This is one that does the logos for our schools as well.
Thank you. Any, go ahead, trustee Martin has more.
This is $27,000 in next year's budget.
Mine?
Same item,
Oh.
item 10, for PR. I would like to not spend $27,000. I'm concerned because we're looking at, through attrition, losing very important site employees, noon duties and community liaisons. And $27,000 would go a long way for that. I can't believe that we wouldn't have talented people within this district that can take on the PR portion of it, at least in the near futures, until we're better financially set. But I'm concerned about the impact to sites, and $27,000 could go towards that.
But just to make sure that you're clear, this is not the PR part, this is the graphic art,
I
part, the
understand.
graphics. So these are like the logos for the sites and everything else. I just want to make sure you understand what you're discussing.
Can I, Dr. Doyle, ask you, when you say logos for the sites, what is exactly, can you give an example?
Yes, all the artwork for the sites in terms of their logos, so like the Cougars and you know, and the purpose of their sites when they do their websites, the graphics. So, and the district and the sites.
But we do have those in existence at this time.
We do, but they're often adjusted and modified over time.
Perhaps we just don't modify them for the
It's a
foreseeable
board's
future.
pleasure.
Thank you. I would definitely like to not spend $27,000 for this.
Or at least try to get that down as low as possible. Okay.
So I mean, if you did a not to exceed, we would move forward on that recommendation if you'd like us to just try to reduce it.
Now you want it down?
I want it.
Okay, all right, do you wanna make that, okay, so here's what I would recommend that we do is we approve the item, oh, is there anybody, do either one of you have any other items on this? Okay, so here's what I would recommend. I would recommend that we approve, item 16B minus the line 10, and then we can vote on that separately. So I will entertain a motion to approve item 16B excluding item, line 10.
So moved.
Okay, moved by trustee Markov. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Martin. Any further questions or discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? And motion carries unanimously. Okay, so now, item 10. I guess, make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to remove item 10.
You've already removed it. so-
Yeah, we removed it. Now, do you want to make a motion to, how would that be worded to not cancel that, I guess, or to?
It's already
There's no need.
been canceled. It was approved minus 10. And what I'm hearing from the rest of the trustees that there's consensus on not having any money from it. At least I see that from 3 is, so if we see that from 3, then there's no need to make another motion if.
Perhaps what we could do is just leave it the way it is, and then we can bring back additional information at a future meeting. Sure.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, okay.
If I could make a request, maybe, talk to the school sites themselves and see what their feedback is too. About,
Yeah, we'll
whether
bring back
they,
some
whether they,
information.
what they feel about reading the logo.
That's totally fair. We'll bring more
Yeah,
information.
okay, thank you.
Another idea is to give our CT graphic employees extra hours to create it for their school or the schools in their region at extra hours. It might not be 27,000 with a contest from the students on how to like make their logo better.
I love everything about that. Do we need a motion to do that? Or can you
No, no,
review?
just- We're good.
We love everything about that.
Yeah.
So, thank you, trustee Alvarado. Great feedback. Okay, moving on. We are now into board business. Oh my, no, we have staff reports, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, there is no no continuation of item 5A. We're going to staff committee reports, state budget updates may revise. The Dr. Loescher show again, starring Sean Loescher. Come on down.
It's coming.
But I have to wait for the,
There's a little bit of a delay. It's all
Okay.
good.
Okay, the price is right.
There we go. All right, there we go.
All right, Board President Morocco, Vice President Martin, and to all of our trustees. This evening, Ms. Machado is joining me, for our May revise general update. You're gonna notice that on these slides as we walk through that they are dated as of May 9th. That was our publication date. The May revise was presented, yesterday at 10:30 a.m. And, it's gonna take a while to deconstruct all of it. I'm going to be anticlimactic here and get right to the point, as we roll through these slides. There is movement in various areas. But overall, you're pretty much awash. So there's some increases in some areas, there's some instability in some areas, there's some federal areas, including micro funding and other items that may be an impact if current budget proposals go forward. There are other areas that may be an increase. There's also the same instability we talked about. There's only one significant revision that we should pay attention to at this time until we get into our 2x2 structure, because we'll be meeting with you all shortly, and that's going to be covered right up front. So let's just go ahead and just walk you through what the general update is. April tax next revenues beat expectations in many ways, and that's incredible news that we talked about at a previous meeting. That's it beat expectations because we had diminished expectations because of the tax deferrals and the October date for Los Angeles and Ventura candles for tax collection. So although it was lower, it beat expectations because we came in a bit higher than we thought. Market volatility has certainly increased since we started talking about this, and significantly so. We're not going to comment on those items, but the market is volatile, it's moving all over the places. And one of the things is we are getting more information about the federal budget proposal, which is not in place. As we move to slide 3, the updates are in green. They are still projecting the positive revenue forecast. There's no major difference there. As we move to slide 4, this is again, everything except for what's in green came to you before. The funding level may improve on Prop 98 in a way. CSBA is openly advocating with school board members at Sacramento to fully fund Prop 98. It is not fully funded in accordance with the law. There's some disagreements there. It looks like a little more positive outlook, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But it may improve. This is the general message that we took away. The next slide presents the big one. You're going to see a bunch of red numbers with lines struck through them. The big sort of, not necessarily bombshell, it was anticipated there may be a revision. They downgraded the COLA, right? COLA is not a California thing, it's a federal thing. It came down to 2.3, so the revision is down to 2.3. You're going to see throughout the presentation. It does impact restricted and unrestricted resources in different ways. But again, as we go through this, we'll have more indications of the deepness of this or not of this in the upcoming week or two as we go into our 2x2 structure. Slide 6, no updates. There were no updates listed that we were able to detect there. So we leave that for your consideration. Slide 7, the revision is that 2.3, but we also noted something at the federal level. We have become accustomed to receiving extensions. There are no extensions proposed on any items. So anything that is a federal funding source, that is one of the reasons we urged the board when we did our workshop. We are urging the board that we adopt a strategy of expensing those first at all times. We expense those first because there's no extensions and we don't know what will happen. Slide 8. Well, there was no updates there either at this time. So everything sort of was in that same ballpark. Slide 9 was an affirmation. We received more confirmation of CalSTRS and CalPERS maintenance funds or projected funds. So that remains with no update that was reported. Slide 10, cost analysis and projections, the same level of volatility, the increased level of volatility we've already reported to you on, but these are the metrics that were the same as previous ones reported. It's just this notion that cost of living allocation does not keep up with inflationary forces. So that's the first one. The second, as we are communicating with the community, is to understand that inflation's one matter, market adjustment is another. So here's the difference. If inflation is working at 5% a year, I think that's pretty straightforward. If something used to cost us $1, it's $1.05 next year, right? Pretty straightforward. Market adjustment is when something changes in the commodity markets, worldwide markets, and something that used to cost $1 now costs $2. We are seeing both. We're seeing substantial, particularly in petroleum-based industries and industries that require imports of goods and services. We're seeing high degrees of market adjustments. So that continues.
So let me add something just to connect the dots with some of our building. That's why when we work with our builders, we always try to get them to purchase their materials at the very beginning of the project so we can address the market volatility, for which we have done. Dr. Loescher and the team have done, but that's a really good example of getting ahead of market volatility.
It's a great example, and we've provided it to you in our discussions about Beauvier. It's one of the reasons we're gonna have a different discussion this summer about timing of bond funding, is we've had to purchase everything because the estimate was, if we don't, it could cost 50, 60, 70% more in just a matter of months. So we want to secure the pricing in on many items. Even at a recent meeting, Chris was at the meeting, and we were even saying, yeah, time to hit up Home Depot and grab all the fasteners you can, just to be sure we can lock in the price on screws and nails, and we got enough, because you don't know what's gonna happen. And that is the type of care that Chris, the team, all of our project managers are providing. Slide 11 is, again, no updates. The only thing altered here, the blue items are sort of behind us. The green items are where we're at on this map, and we still have things ahead. The only thing that I failed, and this is my failing to put here, is a reminder. The budget is not passed until July 1. You will have passed your budget before they pass theirs. Now, I know that seems not necessarily fair, but I'm grateful if they'll do it on July 1, because I remember a time where they were doing it in late October, mid-November. So they do anticipate they will pass that budget, but that's part of that 45-day revision process. If we see anything, we'll come back to the board on that. The outlook, our summary remains the same. Our advice to the board at this juncture, until we have that analysis conducted and we engage in those workshops, which will begin on the 21st next week. If you are interested, please contact Ms. LaPola about that.
In this room.
In this room, we're going to be doing some of those. We go to a lot of there's one in this room, but we go all over because we want lots of different perspectives. It's important to get different perspectives from different organizations. But as you look down this list, many of the things are the same. The primary driving factor locally is declining enrollment. That is your number one factor that's impacting funding. We do not have to agree with those means and mechanisms, but that is what it is. We've been asked to articulate our position. Our position is that we believe the state, knowing that 80% of school districts in the state of California are experiencing declining enrollment, we believe the state should provide a mechanism for dealing with that. That is fair and equitable to all of the districts, the children, the teachers, and the communities. There is not anything in place at this time. They continue to struggle with what that would look like. But our overall outlook is the only thing we've added. Your budget's fairly balanced at this time, pending what happens next week. For your next steps, we go into the May revised analysis cycle. Ms. Machado is amazing at this. She loves these financial numbers in a way that it is admirable, and a way I don't quite understand sometimes. We talk at length about it. I know Trustee Martin's going to be joining us here on Monday. We're going to be talking about some of these things and some feedback we can give to the board on a more regular basis to help make more informed decisions and make sure you feel comfortable, because these are complex matters. All right, we're going to get you the revisions in 2x2 format. Additional updates will be based upon those revisions. You are required by law to complete first the LCAP, then the budget by your final board meeting for submission to the county. So we will do that, and any additional updates will come thereafter. That's a summary of a rather anticlimactic May revise for the first time in a decade.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Sean, with the 1.3 billion maneuver that he's trying to withhold from Pub 98, would that impact us for next fiscal year? Or are we assuming we're gonna get it, so we're still planning on projecting and spending those, the current blueprint that we have or budget that we have?
Current recommendation is to continue with planning. It's anticipated that will meet some legal resolve on that matter to see where it goes. The additional factor that is there, Trustee Vargas, that may come to play is there is a rainy day fund So that $1.3 billion may, for the governor, be pulled in this direction, but there is money in the rainy day fund that could backfill it. So we're waiting to hear more about that.
Got it. And I know last time he backed off,
Yes, sir.
that was through CSB and CTA.
Correct.
But with that, I know that that's still pending litigation. Any insight as to where that's at or where it's heading?
There is no insight at this time that I could make reliably. I would suggest we continue to budget plan as we are. That is general legal advice. That is general advice coming out at this time. We'll hear more from Analysis, SSC, School Services of California. I apologize for the acronym. Is a major organization that will be advising districts on that come next week, along with the California Organization for School Business Officials, CASBO, along with CSBA. Each one's going to have a perspective on that to advise boards as to what our options are. I think it's likely that will not be resolved until the 45-day revision.
Got it. And I guess the last thing, I know that there's a couple of workshops that are happening in San Diego, so with, as soon as you get information, we could send it to the entire board so that they can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he actually has a report prepared for you for tomorrow, and then as we get more information next week, we'll send you one too.
Great, and the one that, is I think one of the best ones is by, what is his name?
Capital
Advisors.
Capital Advisors happens at the San Diego County Office of Education, so that is in person and would definitely recommend, our trustees to attend it.
Yep. Very good. Just a couple of things to add, just so you can be thinking about it. One interesting aspect that we talked about a number of months ago related to his May revise is the governor is intending to fully fund the ratio from 12-1 to 10-1 in PK. And in the last couple of years, in January, he wanted to fully fund the reduction in ratio, but never followed through with it. Now it looks like he's going to follow through with it.
Correct.
That's really good news. Anyone else have any questions? Oh.
We do have one item just to point out for the board, because we'd like to make sure we demonstrate we follow up on all items. If you are in slide 17 on your pack, we were asked to add the term deferrals to the listing.
Yep.
Deferrals is in the listing for the community to review, and we will present that at a future date.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? I have one. During our LCAP workshop, it had come up that you had mentioned that they were deferring the payments from Los Angeles and Ventura County until October. And so there might be a possibility that we get additional income.
There's always that possibility.
Revenue.
Yeah, to be clear, when a state of emergency is called in a region, you don't have to pay your taxes on time. By the way, you can't call it a state of emergency in a district in order to not pay your taxes on time, but it has to be specified by the governor. And that's what happened with the Los Angeles fires that impacted Los Angeles and Ventura County. So they have the option to file by October.
Okay, so in the event that we do get some additional incremental funds, will you let us know so that we can schedule some sort of have a board discussion about what we provide?
Yeah, we're compelled to bring it back to the board.
I kind of like trustee Markov's idea there of, when on the amendment that passed, but then the thing failed. So I kind of like that, yeah. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Dr. Lusher. Thank you, Ms. Machado.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you up to help me with my homework. I need it on the economics.
Let's do it.
She's the one talking. All right, next.
Okay, next is going to be the Measure LL Bond Workshop. I need to come over there.
Item 19B.
19B.
19B, yes,
Sorry.
sorry.
Policy.
19B, oh, board policy, sorry, I'm so tired. Okay, discussion on board policy 3100 and the reserve for economic uncertainties position.
Thank you very much. Ready?
Monica,
Yep.
Dr. Lusher showed you.
It's coming. There's a delay. Here we go.
Thank you very much. For our Board of Trustees, this was an item that you requested that we bring forward for your discussion. We do have a board policy about developing budget that is in the 3000 section of our budget or of our policy manual. And we wanted to bring to your attention a discussion around board policy 3100. What is 3100 state as it relates to the section on reserve for economic uncertainty? First, it's specific in language, which we brought to you on slide 3. Board policy states on slide 3 that staff should be trying to meet or should be meeting a reserve for economic uncertainty of 5%. That's across a MYP multi-year projection budget. As you all noted, last year's budget did not meet 5% on year 3. And when we came back to you on first interim, second interim, we pointed out to the board, it came in at 3.00%. Okay. So that is what is there at this time. Now, to be specific, the board can pass a policy. The board can waive their policy. That is your right, but you may not waive the law. So what we wanted to do this evening is present to you a few things, and which we do on slide 4. And if you allow for me to walk you through it, the intention here is so you can have a discussion. Decide if you want to provide direction to staff to explore some things further or whatever. But there is the education code, which states you must have a minimum of 3%. Some people will point out in education code that there's a provision for 1%. That's actually only for 2 districts. That's for Los Angeles Unified and San Diego Unified, the 2 largest districts. You have to meet a certain threshold. We are not in that category. Therefore, we must have a 3% reserve. That is the law. If you are not, what happens? Well, you move from positive certification to qualified certification. If you can't meet it by year 3, you can move to negative certification, meaning you're not able to demonstrate that you can meet those items, right? So what is the considerations in there? Well, cash flow and volatility. We just talked about the 45-day revision. If you have a 3% reserve, well, if the budget goes down more than 3% after they pass it, you don't have a reserve to deal with that necessarily. Well, we've already talked about, in the case of our budget, about 90% of unrestricted of that budget, 90% of it is people and things. So you're probably looking at possibly touching people, but there are laws in place about that. And that gets really complex. The other part is if they defer payments in a volatile market, you may not have the cash flow to meet payroll. 3% is less than 1 month of payroll, to be clear. So for those that are involved in business accounting on a small business, that is considered phenomenally low, right? Okay, so the next option that many boards engage in is called a fixed rate reserve for economic policy. This is generally 3% plus some X amount. In the case that we're providing, the example we're providing to you, it's a plus 2%, which gets you to 5% in the current policy. So this is called your fixed base. What happens with that is if you choose to modify it, you have some form of policy revisions. It doesn't mean that you can mitigate every circumstance. That is true. It doesn't mean that you can do all things, but at 5%, you're sitting at about perhaps 1 month of payroll that's on hand. That is all. If the deferrals go beyond that, you still have to engage in different options. You generally would sell tax revenue anticipation notes, which are a short-term, high percentage bond that will give us the money for now, but then you have to cut additional funds because you have to pay interest on it. So it's a double-edged sword, right? Okay, the next option that some districts engage in is called a graduated rate. Now, I'm just putting numbers out here. It's just for your discussion. A graduated rate is saying on your first year of your budget, you do a certain percentage. On the second year, you do a different percentage. And on the third year, you do a different. It could look any number of ways. It could be year 1, 5, year 2, 7%, year 3, 9, or you could swap those numbers. You could say year 1, it's 9, year 2, it's 7, year 3, it's 5. It's a variable rate. It graduates over time or degrades over time. That's an option. The third option that school finance people oftentimes advise boards is to engage in something called the use of Fund 17. What is Fund 17? It is a separate fund outside of the Reserve for Economic Uncertainties. It's a fund like a rainy day fund for a district that you set aside. So for example, if you were to say, because when you do Fund 17, you oftentimes do it in conjunction with one of these. If you say, Fund 17, we wish to see in Fund 17 a reserve of X percent. It doesn't matter whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, it's X percent, okay? And you look over here and say, we want to make sure we meet the minimum of 3%. But if we have a carryover balance, at the end, we're gonna take half or a portion of the carryover balance and put it into Fund 17 until we meet our amount for rainy day. And everything else will go back towards the budget to be responded. Okay. So these are the primary strategies that boards use when talking about the reserve for economic uncertainties. One is to meet the state minimum. The other is to come up with a fixed rate amount. The other is to have a graduated rate of some kind. The third, or the final one, is to use Fund 17 and use it in conjunction with one of those to build a certain amount. So those are what we wanted to present to you this evening as sort of a broad discussion. This is how boards deal with this. In districts of our size, when you look at this, depending upon what district you go to, some districts have board policies of 5%, some 7%, some 9%. It depends where you go. There are various arguments for and against it. But these are what are in place. You must meet the 3%. And we're just here to answer any questions to guide the discussion for the board.
So one last thing before I hand it back to the board president. So back in 2019, when we had difficulty with our budget, when we were qualified, we weren't negative, but we were qualified. That was 3 weeks after I became superintendent. The board asked me the question, well, what would you want to see the district have in terms of reserve? And my answer was between 7 and 10%. And there was a reason why I answered that. The reason I answered that is because a temporary tax revenue anticipation note, or a trans, allows us to get money if we don't have enough cash flow in the school district. 7% would get us through at least 1 month of payroll. And that would give the board time to vote and direct us to pursue a trans for the future months so we can continue to pay our staff. So that was my rationale for saying between 7 and 10%. 5%, I don't think would give us 1 month of payroll, which then would not give the board sufficient time to collect together, direct us, and for us to work with our agencies to apply for a trans.
Thank you.
I think there's only one other factor to share as you engage in this. Just for a comparison, the reserve for economic uncertainty is there, is a specified amount. Oftentimes, it's really, I'm going to speak for me, difficult to know the difference between reserve for economic uncertainty and the fund balance. Just so you have those two things, which are different. The fund balance is after you've carried over from the beginning of the year. Very different from reserve for economic possibility, but let me give you a metric so we can put it. Last year, after we moved all the funds over with the reserve for economic uncertainties, the total amount for this district was down to 16%. The state average was 24.36% in a district. So substantially higher than what we had. So that's where we currently sit.
Thank you, Dr. Lisher. Okay, board discussion, time for the board discussion. Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Go ahead, trustee Martin.
Approximately a year ago, when we had the bloated, about 143 million, did some of that go towards Beaubier? I know we had quite a bit of money, maybe it was a year and a half ago. I'm trying to just figure out where if that went into the LL bond, or I know we were deficit spending at some point. Can you kind of wrap that up as to how that dropped so fast?
Sure. I think between the two of us, we can answer that. Are we asking specifically about the Measure LL bond, just to clarify, for Beaubier Elementary?
I'm asking about how it dropped from 143 million.
Are you
talking about
Thanks.
reserve?
No.
Talking about the reserve.
So the amount of 143 million was the remaining funds available in Measure LL pending different projects. And then Beaubier itself came in at over 103 million, which dropped. And then there were revisions on projects. So the 143, as I understood it, had to do with that amount, but we can give you a more comprehensive report as well.
So you're saying that there was a leftover amount of about 143, and you moved it into the reserves at that time? Because this 143 million was sitting in the reserves.
I would have to look at that with you, Matt. I don't know if 143 million sitting in the reserves. I know about a total fund balance between all funds across the district, including general fund, which is Fund 00, Fund 13, which is CNS funds, Fund 40, all of the funds, that there was a total fund balance, but we can't move funds from general over there and back and forth.
But that's what she's referring to.
Yeah.
So we can give you a report, a follow-up report on that.
I'm going to need that because last year I came and spoke about that.
Yeah,
And you
no, I'm
favored
familiar with
the
it.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Yeah, and then what we'll do for you, all board members, is a breakdown of what you're referring to and where each of the funds came from. But in it, simply put, and again, we don't have the information to give you the specific stuff, but simply put, the funding you were referring to is a combination of a variety of accounts.
But it was sitting in reserves. At the second interim,
Yeah, and we'll
Okay.
provide you a report. I know what you're referring to. We will provide you a report on that.
all right, that's what I'd like. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
The current policy as is, which is about, 5%. Is that for all three fiscal, like the multi-year projections for all three fiscal years? It doesn't change.
The way the policy is written is we must achieve at least 5% for each of the MYP years. That is the way it is written.
Yeah, because we have seen some gaps in the past, where like on that third year, like we're at 2%, so they would be not compliant with.
We are currently not compliant on the budgets that have been passed.
Thank you.
That's why we're having the conversation tonight. Again, there's nothing wrong there's nothing illegal about having a 3%. I want to be clear. We just want to make sure the board's informed that you do have a board policy that says 5%.
Thank you. Any other question?
My question, I heard you say, Dr. Doyle, that we would need approximately 7% to make payroll. In case of, I guess, like rainy day, not rainy day, an emergency or something like that. Is that including kind of the adjustments to our employees as we reduce because of the fund or the positions that were 3-year or 2-year funded positions because of ESSER funds and one-time funds? Is that kind of an old projection that we need 7 million, or is that like a current projection of what we're looking to staff in the new year?
Yes, ma'am. So it's proportional.
It's relative.
So it's relative, it's 7% of your budget. So at the existing structure, we're still sitting, even with the reductions made, we're sitting globally at close to a 90-10 ratio. So we're still talking about a number of people there.
So, like in my mind, I think that 7% is good, but I'm thinking we might need one of that Fund 17. I feel like that's a good way to go. And, because yeah, these are going to be difficult times, and I've heard references tonight about like, funding an employee with the 27,000 from graphics, but really that's not the way we fund employees. It has to be for 3 years. We have to sustain benefits, we have to sustain pension and so on and so forth. So those small amounts don't really work. But my point of this is we need to be able to pay our employees and not have to go get a loan from who knows who. And just, what does that do to us? Like, do we get in trouble for that? Do we get slapped? I'm serious. Do we get a letter from the county or the state when that happens?
Well, I mean, the answer is if we follow the appropriate procedures to apply for a temporary note, no, we're okay. Is it a wise fiscal move? No, it's an unwise fiscal move. And then just to be clear, we're in good, solid financial shape right now. That's why we're having this conversation. We don't want to have a conversation when we're in bad financial shape. So this is a really healthy conversation to have about what is reserves. Trustee Martin asked what was specificity around it. Excellent question. We will get you that information. We're just simply engaging the board in a conversation about what's a realistic amount of reserves. Well, I was referencing 7 to 10% only because I know historically that 7 to 10% would allow us to make payroll for at least 1 month, which would buy the board time to have a conversation in the event that we had a financial crisis.
Now I'm thinking 5 and use of Fund 17, because knowing that we weren't able to stay under 5 in the last year. Seems like a big lofty goal to go to 7, but definitely finding how to utilize Fund 17 as an option for the board. I would be in favor of doing something like that. And then keeping the 5, and I don't know if it's the will of the other board members to maybe increase it, but wow.
It's hard. Thank you. Any other comments? Questions?
I firmly believe that we need at least 5 to 7%, or 5 to 7 in the reserve account, that it, to get down, as trustee Alvarado said, to get down to that point where we could not even cover payroll. That, and this is, I know this discussion is just in case, but
Yeah.
we should be prepared for that. I mean, we do know that it's going to be economically rocky in the next couple of years, and so I mean, my intuition is saying 10%, you know, but I know that that's gonna be really difficult, so. I would agree with the Fund 17. I think that I would like to know more about that and how that would work.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Marco?
Yes, I would be in favor of 5 to 7% as a board policy, and also use of Fund 17. I think that's actually a very good idea to slowly build up a separate account that stays there in the rainy day fund. That's a great idea.
Thank you. I agree.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. Moving, are we done? Any last comments? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, we're moving on to Measure LL. This is going to be exciting. I can't wait to get over there. I haven't been there
Another brief one.
far too long. And there's walls.
Yes.
And asphalt.
Yes. All right. Hold on, just before you start, I wanted to jump in, Dr. Loescher, real quick. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. We drove by Mobier today. We are at a point where we would love to invite the board members out to check it out one more time. I think it's at a point where it would be worth your while. You would need to bring boots. I have to tell you now, it's dangerous if you don't have boots, so you'll need it. If you want to come, bring boots. We have all the other protective equipment for you. But it's fantastic. We're really proud of it. We're proud of you as a board supporting this. It's gonna be good for our kids. Sean, I know this is a brief presentation, but it's pretty exciting, and really seeing is believe it, so we need to get you out there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Doyle, and thank you to Ms. Dowler, one of my closest collaborators, so I'm thrilled you can be here. I'm gonna be extraordinarily brief, so that way we're here for any questions, but the fact of the matter is, the presentation is outdated. And I'll point out why. And the best thing we could recommend is please join us. And if you don't have the boots, give me your shoe size. We'll figure it out, okay? So here's the big picture.
Combat boots, okay?
Combat boots with steel toed are preferred. I got Doc Martens in various sizes. We're ready to roll. Slide 2 is just an overview that we give you each time of your items. Everything is on track. You will just note that the balance remains the same for all of your financials. So we're doing well and closing out. Slide 3 is completely out of date. That's because Dr. Doyle and I were pleased to report to you that we have stood on the 2nd floor of Belvier Elementary School.
Wow.
And at this time, after we got done with that, he and I, just to give you a perspective, we are there quite often, sometimes without. I'm generally there once a day. Chris is there all the time. We drove by this evening and we giggled a little bit.
It was looking good. Looks like a building.
Well, because where we had stood before, there were no walls, and now there's walls everywhere. And soon there'll be a roof. So this is a beautiful overview of some things that have happened, but it's happening quick. We want to make sure the trustees are understanding the process, because we're gonna all get questions. So we'll take you back in time briefly. We said, when things start with the demolition, everybody in the community is gonna say, yay, we see progress, right? And then we said it's gonna go down. It went down into the ground, and the community goes, what is happening here? Why don't we see anything? And then we said the building was gonna come out of the ground, and the community is gonna say, yay, we're out of the ground, and that's happening. Well, we're gonna get to a point here in the next several months where they're gonna say, why isn't this thing open yet? That's because they have to build the rest inside. That's one of the longest parts, and we're getting there. So you're looking at the side view, building A north. On slide 4, you're looking at one of my favorite views, the south corridor, where we've spent considerable amounts of time. You may see some photos coming your way, and we just want to explain them. You may see photos coming your way that there is water everywhere. No, the building didn't leak. It was a fire. It was a fire suppression system test. They test it all the time, and that was the intention. All right. So we're there. But you're looking at all of these beautiful pictures. The site is making incredible progress across the board. As you move forward into slide 6, you're going to see the update on building C, which now has cement all there. So incredible progress that Chris and the team are thrilled with. As you look at slide 7, just a few things. The milestones are listed out for you. This is an amazing project. I'm so privileged to be able to engage in this and to be part of this, and I'm thrilled with it. We also want to share the news. Please come and visit us. We are planning some upcoming site tours and opportunities to get our Bobier teachers back out there to take a look and all the rest. You may know from previous projects, we also invite oftentimes the campus front office staff and supervisors. That's because they sometimes are the best messengers. They're seeing the most amount of people. At Vista High, we got the security guards to go because they see everybody at the gate before anybody comes in, right? So that's our general overview. We're here for any questions you may have, but the project's going well. We are time on task and we are moving forward on a daily basis.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Good. Chris, could you just provide one more? We spoke earlier today about market volatility and procurement. And you're actually the genius that made this happen. So just give an example of Bobier, like real time.
Yes, so real time. So we did have a lot of items that we identified as long lead items, things like our HVAC units, switch gears, things like that. We got those in early by plan. Since our economy has changed, we decided to bring in our roofing, all of our lighting materials, all of our plumbing materials are all either on site or in bonded warehouses currently. Doing this action actually helps the team progress in schedule because the materials are here. We don't have to wait for trucks to roll in. They're close on hand. Some of our stuff is at warehouses in Lakeside, the Claremont area at Rexel at our lighting facility. So, again, just being proactive and having teams that know the value of being proactive, it's working. And as you drive by, you probably see it every day. Every time you drive by, it looks a little bit different, So as Dr. Locher had said, we're roofing next week on building A. It's amazing to see. So
Very fast. One last thing, again, just for the board, you live out there. A really important part of construction is respecting our community. So the houses around the construction project. So just give a couple insights into some of the lengths to which you and your team go to make sure that you're listening to the community and responding to their needs.
right, so we do distribute community notifications as well. Our websites are up to date with some current information. But being out, our neighbors are out watching us. They're at the back gate at Legan watching us every day. We say hi over the fence, people that drive by, right? So we go get sandwiches around the corner and they're like, yay, we go to Stater Brothers. Everybody's very aware of what's going on, even a little bit further away. They know, they see it, they know it, and we're just here to provide and give that experience back to the community.
Thank you.
A compliment, because Chris won't bring it up. The Bobier team, the leadership team that Chris leads, the constructors, the IORs, the designers have been invited to the California Alliance for Adequate School Housing to present and demonstrate on effective leadership of school design. So thank you, Chris, for all that.
Excellent, thank you, that's awesome, exciting, that's so cool. I'm not surprised. I'm just gonna say, I'm not surprised.
Well, come out and see it for yourselves. Let me invite you.
We don't have to wait until June, do we?
No.
Oh, okay, cause it said, like, is it mid-June?
That's
Like, is that because you
Bobier
guys-
staff.
Oh, okay. We can go in.
Board's prerogative, just give us a call.
Okay.
Chris will order.
All right, thank you. Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Item 19D, bond parcel sales tax stuff. This is exciting too.
Yeah, so this is another one that the board asked us to do. It's very brief, but again, I want to thank the board for engaging us in this conversation. Dr. Loesch has prepared some preliminary information, and then we do have a recommendation at the end of his slides, but take it away, Sean.
Thank you very much. To the members of our board trustees, we brought up this topic at a previous board meeting. We wanted to act so that way we could get you information. We have consulted with some people to develop these general definitions on the three topics that the board has chosen to explore. These are the topics of general obligation bonds, parcel tax, sales and use tax. All right, so these are three separate tax categories that we'll run through. Definitions are there on the board. I won't read through them. But we should know some of the differences as you engage. We would be recommending, because of the complexity of this, that regardless of what the board may choose as we engage in this, we do recommend that we start to get experts involved in these topics. Whether you choose one or multiple of these strategies, we need a very long runway to work with people on this. So this would be a long runway for approach. What we tried to do here was to just give you a really brief overview, and I really want to spend a moment to tell you why you're seeing some of the numbers on the screen to understand them. Just an overview of who's issuing each of these structures, what comes of it, what is the tax basis, what are the considerations that you can use them for, who issues, how do you get it, that sort of thing, and then the election requirements. So for general obligation bonds, I think we're fairly familiar as a school district, most school districts. This is by far the most popular one because it only requires a 55+1 vote requirement. So this is the lowest part. There are requirements to get to that 55%. You have to have a CBOC. You have an award-winning CBOC. This is not a problem. You have to have certain endorsements. We've had those endorsements. It must be used for facilities. That is a specification for general obligation bonds. Has to be used for facilities. You have to vote by a supermajority here in the boardroom to put it on a ballot, but only 55+1% vote for the general election. How are that taxation rate? How is it developed? It's based upon your assessed property value at the time you buy it, or if it gets reassessed because you're doing something to it significant, right? But it's the assessed value of the property. So that means if you bought your house in 1975, you're taxed at probably a completely different rate with the bond than if you bought your house last month, because the home values are completely different on the assessed value, all right? Next is parcel. Parcel tax also can be issued by a district as a school district. A little bit different. It can be done by a parcel unit, a unit of land, or a parcel size. You can write this in different ways. Then you're going to have considerations. What is the criteria of the parcel? How large, how small, what do you do, right? These are the big considerations as you're developing it. You have to have the election within the district. It's all the people within the district pay that parcel tax. You can use it for more flexible uses. That is absolutely true. But you need a supermajority vote. That's 66%+1. There are not a lot of examples of this passing in different places, but this is a possibility for the board to explore. All right. Now, the next one is sales and use tax, better known as a sales tax, right? We're used to seeing this when we go and we pay. But school districts don't issue sales tax. That is either issued by a city, a county, or a state. These are the options. It's usually based upon the sale of items. It's specified. It could be on one grouping. You might notice you have a different sales tax on gasoline as a state tax versus your local tax, right? So it can be specified. To issue, you need a general election within the applicable, and I put there S zones. Otherwise, you end up with some people paying a tax and other people not paying a tax. So typically you have to do that. And there's one further detail. A city, county, or state can pass it. A school district can't. So in order for the money to be sent to the school district, you have to pass a specific use. And that requires, again, 66%+1 vote, all right, for a specific use. If you want an unspecific use, and you say the city may reclaim it at any time or not pass the money on, that is a different threshold. That's 50%+1. But for a specific use, for your use, and you can use it for pretty much anything you so choose, that's a 66.1% or supermajority vote. So those are the items as we presented for your discussion. Again, we recommend bringing in an expert on these topics to engage with the board as part of this.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to have a board discussion about this and, before we actually spend any money, I wanna see where, I would like to get a consensus of where people are at, if they're, in favor or if they're sort of, where we, I just kind of see where we're at, just to start it off. Is this something that we're thinking that we wanna pursue or no? Is this, I'd like to hear from my colleagues.
I'm certainly interested in a discussion. I was not on the previous board, but if we need to fulfill our obligation, especially for our aging facilities, as we all know, I'd like to at least get some information and see where we're going with this, if it is possible. I know it seems like it's a year and a half away, that I know that we have to get started soon, I'm told. But yeah, I'd like to at least explore this.
Anyone else?
Yes, I do believe that, considering I think that if we were able to get an influx of money, it would take care of a lot of our facilities, and potentially, so I'm kind of leaning towards, what I think might be the easier one, which, obviously looks like would be the bond, but I'm happy to entertain what other, some of the other options as well.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
Yeah, I mean, I was in support of this, last time and, continue, I think this is a need that we need, especially when we look at long range facility master plan. I would ask Sean to please forward, the board, we did 2 polls on this topic, we did community surveys, that are relevant. But at the same time, if we're gonna explore this, I'd rather like, see, consensus on this rather than, going through with it and then, not voting at this, because, the polling itself, the firm to do the education on it, it is expensive and, well over $100,000 if I remember correctly. And I wouldn't want that to be, be put forward and then at the last minute not put it back forward.
I agree with you 100%. Trustee Alvarado.
I work in schools and the school that I work in was built in 1948. So when I go to Monte Vista and I go to Vapa and I look at those facilities and our kids deserve more, our employees deserve more. We have a long range facilities master plan that has a list of jobs that really need to be addressed, not just for the aesthetics, but for safety. And so I supported the bond that we were exploring back in November of I can't keep track of my years, 2024, I guess. But it's a necessity. It's a necessity for our employees. It's a necessity for our kids. We have so many projects that need to be done. And right now we're just spending money on just like Band-Aids. We're like just putting out many fires all across the district and we need to do better. But I don't want to spend the money and be surprised last time and just be like, oh, never mind. And I am concerned about like inflation now, where we are at currently economically in our country, and in our state with, families or voters agreeing to this. And I would just hope that they would, but the better time was before, but that's passed. Inflation is a real thing. And I think that families are hurting right now. So I'm not quite sure how much of this is gonna happen in a gubernatorial election versus a presidential election too. And these are all things to think about.
Okay, so, I crunched some numbers from the last election because, when I talked to Dr. Lusher and Dr. Doyle about this, several weeks ago. In 2024, the vast majority of school bonds that were put on the ballot did not pass, especially if you broke it down by district. it was not good. However, a very interesting thing came up. And that's because not a lot of voters turned out. The couch won the election in November 2024. So, what was very interesting is that there were two school districts down south. There was San Ysidro and, South Bay. San Ysidro had 3 measures on the ballot. All 3 of them passed. And then South Bay had 2 and both of them passed. So I kind of would like to see about putting more than 1 ballot on the, just maybe explore that idea of how much more would it cost to do that?
By region, you're saying, within the school districts.
Is that what they
That's
did?
how they did it.
Okay, yeah, maybe if there's maybe even any other ideas. I also would like to just kind of crunch some numbers and find out how much it would cost, what, if we're gonna be putting these measures on the ballot. It doesn't cost that much more to actually add another one, since we're already gonna be doing the research and all of that stuff, can it cross over or not? So that's kind of my question. I will ask this, I'd like a consensus from my colleagues. I am not thinking about wasting any time on the sales and use tax. Where are you guys? Are you in agreement with me on this, or would you like to see that pursued?
What do you mean by pursued?
Do some more sort of explore it a little bit more to see what would happen, but I believe that Dr. Doyle told me that Vista's gonna be passing its own sales tax. Ergo, that's probably, they're not gonna want us to crash their party there. Possibly Oceanside, but I think it's a lot of work and finagling because we have these 2 major cities and stuff.
And we might be competing with the city.
Yeah.
I would not be in favor because as an Oceanside resident, I think Oceanside passed a tax for fire and police.
Yeah, they did.
And so that would conflict, or that would add on another tax, sales tax, and I don't think our Oceanside registered voters would go for that way. I don't know, because it's optics, right? I mean, they may pay through the, the taxes on their home and their properties, but it's like, when you say, okay, now I'm paying 10% at a store versus 8.7. Yeah, I think people are like, no,
Yeah,
thank
that's a good
you.
point. Trustee Martin, did you want to say
Yeah.
something?
I'm in complete agreement. I don't think we should even consider spending time on the sales use because of the complexity of getting Oceanside and Vista to work together. That would be something else, and just what trustee Alvarado just shared with us. I don't think there's going to be an appetite for that.
No.
I agree. And trustee Vargas, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there are very few districts that have done this, and most of them tend to be in Northern California, where there is a more, friendly electoral for this types of measures. I don't think, our committee has an appetite for that. It'd be pretty hard to get 66% +1.
I still would like to find out a little bit more about the parcel tax, because if we can put another bond on, or put a parcel tax on there for not a whole lot more money, it might be worth it. If you don't ask, you know what you get. So, I'm an old salesperson, so anyway, so, okay. All right, are you in agreement with that?
Should we know the price of what would it cost to even explore that before we say I'm in agreement? We know what it's gonna cost to have a consulting firm do the work to talk to potential high propensity voters. We don't know what that parcel tax would entail, how much more that would add on to the fee of exploring.
Yeah, and I think maybe I didn't say, maybe I wasn't clear about it. I'm tired, so I'm probably not communicating very well. What I was looking at was exactly that issue. How much would it cost, and how much extra would it cost to explore a parcel tax is what I'm saying. And, and maybe more than 1 bond. So that's sort of where I'm saying is like, I would like staff to come back with some ideas of, is what's the most that we could do besides just doing like one bond? Maybe like you were saying that, I guess was that San Ysidro did it by area?
Yeah.
And so they were able to do that.
Yeah, we have enough information, tonight. We'll bring you back a really good kind of broad brushstroke, and then we'll have a couple examples of narrow brushstrokes as well. And then that will all be done by an expert. We'll bring an expert to the table so you can get some really specific information. And we can address some of the points that, trustee Morocco brought up about what does the county look like and how many bonds passed and those things. We'll have the expert come in and give that
Yeah,
information.
and I have to say, and remember, Measure LL passed in a gubernatorial year. So,
Yep.
you know, let's keep that, yeah, 2018. And then gosh, if we could pass the parcel tax, we could use that for our classrooms. So anyway, okay, all right, any other comments? Oh, trustee Martin, go ahead.
I do want to address. We need to be in consensus on not pulling any fast ones, you know, are we going forward? Let's spend some time, everybody thinking about that, I don't want to waste anybody's time, I don't want to waste anybody's money. We need this, so I'm just hoping that we're all in good faith moving forward to at least discuss all of this and then decide, but I really hope that we're going to be above board on all of this when it comes to talking about something this level.
One of the additional question based on what the last comment, Dr. Loescher, when is as soon as that the board could vote on a resolution to put a bond forward?
Well, I would have to answer the trustees' question in two parts. First, once you vote on the resolution, it bars the superintendent and I from engaging in specific activities. Because it's then a political act. So there's a general recommendation for when you pass that recommendation. And it will depend upon a few things. First will be the strategy. Do you go for the general election? Or do you go for the primary election? That's the first thing, but it's generally about 4 to 5 months before the election date is when they recommend you pass the resolution, because that maximizes our capability to go off and talk to the community.
Perfect, that makes sense.
Historically, it's been in July
Or November.
or November.
Okay, thank you. Are we good? To move on? Okay, thank you. Okay, last item is, agenda. Where's, 19E, California School Board Association Review Options and Services.
Okay, again, this question has come up, so we just brought you some information. So it's just an informational item to give you some feedback on kind of what the historical perspective is on California School Boards Association. Dr. Lucian?
Yeah, thank you very much, President Morocco, Vice President Martin, all the Board of Trustees. Tonight, just presenting some information, general overview of the California School Boards Association. I've pulled various metrics and facts for you on those that have been paid on the items. I am available to answer any questions if you're contemplating what would it cost to do a CSBA, which is what it costs to do with legal services, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll just present you, we're not going to read through again about the organization. We included with this, the PDF pack is available, as to the general services. The overview of the focus areas are the ones that are listed by the organization: district advocacy, training and events, products and services, governance and policy. Those are the 4 main areas that it engaged in. We simply included the amounts of the fees that were paid over the last year. I do want to point out when we get there that you can't treat it like a menu. You can't say, I prefer to just do that. There's a building layers to these things that occurs, okay? So about the organization, I believe we are associated, that there's over 5,000 school districts associated with this. This is a significant organization. And that, well over 95% of school districts are part of this, 98% last time I checked, about these topics. So they represent school boards, a little different than some of the other organizations. They talk about governance and what school boards can do, and talk on behalf of school boards with the state. On slide 4, I presented you the metrics that they publish. These are not my metrics. Just the composition of the various districts, who is participating. There it is. Membership rate is at 97% on their count. And just the general overview of the things that they are doing by their own reporting standards. When I take a look at this and I break it down, and this is essentially a breakdown of their offerings and services on slide 5. District advocacy is about positions. We just heard this evening that Proposition 98 is not fully funded. One of the leading advocates for that in Sacramento is CSBA to talk about that and to advocate. Legislative news, legal analysis, and their legal alliance. So oftentimes when we have something involved in there, they create the legal alliance and they go forward and create legal challenges for training and events, conferences, and governance items, new board member items, all sorts of trainings are available at events where they cover a variety of topics. For products and services, anything from attorneys to policy updates, you see those regularly. Those are legal analysis, consultations, technologies, including how you file policies, because you have to have all those update, and a variety of other policies are available, and publications, books on what you do, how you can do it, legal analysis of items. For governance and policy, these are research publications available, really what you can do on various immigration sources, all these things are available. So some of these are leading issues as well. They lead the AI task force for the state on looking on what is happening out there. So what do we currently spend? We just simply have reported what is in the billing system from over the last year. So fees billed, base membership fees were billed at $22,794. It's a district level fee that's available. For the Education Legal Alliance, this is the advocacy portion. This is billed at $5,699. The gamut policy, this is the system that we use to file it, but also the policy updates is another add-on is for $10,800. However, we did want to report, I wanted to report, we did take a look at it. We believe that the expiration was through October. It is not, it's through June. So we wanted to make sure we clarified that the expiration date is June 30th, 2025 on those 3 items. Additional service and options, clearly that's in their manual process. We use various systems. They have their own system for meetings. They have other things available. Clearly you can option to do conferences, whether you want to go or not is your choice. And whether you choose to go and engage in their professional development, much of it is free and online. That is on a case-by-case basis. Others like Masters in Governance, they are a paid service, but are only available for member organizations. So that's our general overview here of CSBA, and we're here and available as a resource to you.
Thank you. So this is something that I've been waiting 2 years to get on the agenda and talk about. I have concerns, and my concern is that California is the 4th largest economy in the world, but we're 42nd in per pupil spending. And this organization, we're paying them money to lobby, but I don't see them improving that number. Maybe they're just not the right organization for that. Second, that lack of per pupil spending comes out in our student outcomes. 38th in the nation for math and 32nd in the nation for English language arts. These are concerning numbers to me, because I think that one of the primary things that we need to focus on is student outcomes and education. They also have a 501c4, which makes sense because they're a lobbying organization. They would have a political action committee. So I went, I'm a follow the money kind of girl. So I went and I followed the money, and there was a lot of small donations from, I think they're evil and some of their members, but the larger donations came from primarily one area. It was building trades and construction companies. And I have nothing against that. That's a good thing. We want that. Where my problem came in was the imbalance. There was not a single teachers union. There was a classified employees union. There was a curriculum publisher. There was nothing. So I think I have concerns that they're not as academically oriented as I would like to see them be. Those are my concerns. And so going forward, I mean, this might be a discussion that we gotta have. It's a little bit late tonight, so I appreciate that you have put it there. We can't vote on anything anyway because of where it's at. But I just wanted to get that across. I wanted to point this out, that about my concerns, so maybe they can be alleviated. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I've attended the conferences, I've been delegate, there's definitely been many great benefits. We have also had, opportunities for governance training that's been provided. I know myself and Chuck and Ronaldo attended, were part of the second equity board. All that was funded through private donations. We were gonna have a partnership this year for workforce housing. Unfortunately, that was smashed. But there are definitely opportunities that, we can partner up with TSBA. I mentioned it earlier today when we tackled this Prop 98 maneuver last year was through partnership with CTN. So when there are opportunities to lobby alongside other statewide agencies, like definitely, leading into that. At the same time, this is a body that has delegates, and delegates are all over the place, just like, this body. And so with, if there's a majority plus one, that's the will of, the association as a whole. And at times when we talk about, their 501(c)(4), a lot of that is for like the state bonds. And it makes sense that the construction trades, building trades, put money into that because we all benefit when we have those statewide bonds, because then we can tap into that, especially, when there's already funding at the local level. So definitely, see the benefit of it. And, one thing I appreciate is, their governance workshops, we can talk about finance, we can talk about governance, we can talk about special education, we can talk about, superintendent evaluation. So there's definitely a lot, and it's not just a one size fits all.
Can we talk about how to get more funding for our students so that we can get better student outcomes academically? At those governance workshops?
There are specific workshops on advocacy, yes. And they do their lobbying, every single year, their lobbying visits, this year I participated in April. We have a patient that's scheduled meeting with all of our state legislators, and hopefully that's where they have the biggest leverage to, approve funding, and right now, we're in the middle of negotiations, so. Definitely, organizations that, or school board attendees, do that on behalf of their districts, and we do it as a collective voice.
I just think that they should be, advocating a little, maybe not harder is the right word, maybe a little bit different. As I said, we are the fourth largest economy in the world, and we are 42nd. When you adjust our cost of living, we are 42nd in the nation for per pupil living. Isn't that embarrassing? Isn't that embarrassing for us as a Californian? I'm embarrassed about that. So it would be nice to get on the same page with that and maybe work a little harder on that. But anyway, Trustee Alvarado, I'm so sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to state, as an organization, CSBA has their own, they have their own, elected delegates, and they are a voting body, and they vote on policy. As California Teachers Association, we have our state council, they do the same type of thing. They vote on policy, they advocate, they meet with everyone from the state assembly to the state senate to the governor's office. And so those organizations are gonna be working, different because they see schools through different lenses. Same with CSEA, they have their elected delegate and they lobby in California, but our funding, which is, it's unsapped, it is absolutely unsapped, but that has to do with Prop 13 and property taxes. And for one to expect CSBA to change the will of the voters in California don't wanna prioritize education with Prop 13 and property taxes. So that's a bigger problem than one organization like CTA or CSB or CSA can fix. There have been situations where, I think with Schools and Communities First, I think there was collaboration among these educational lobbying groups to try to get, funding and get that passed on the ballot, but it just didn't work. But really, it's a bigger picture, and to expect CSBA to just fix that way, it's not realistic.
Well, maybe it's not about the realistic, it's about us spending $40,000 of our budget when we could, imagine if we took that $40,000 and we gave each teacher $100 to buy classroom supplies. Or gave, imagine how much good that could do for our students.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's maybe, that's part of it is, I would like to see them do more lobbying I'd love to see them collaborating and working with these other organizations. But the other thing is, can we spend this money somewhere better that will benefit our students better? I guess that's the question that I have. Well, go ahead.
There's so many different, I wasn't finished, there's so many different things that they provide. New trustee training, president's training, the law on the Brown Act, budget, financing, there's so many things that they provide. And if you think about, that, what, 98% of LEAs are members, was that the right number that I got? Something like that.
They push was 97%.
97%, so, I think that shows
Well, I'm just wondering.
confidence in this organization, and while no organization is invaluable, I think those numbers demonstrate that this organization, is a valuable resource. Because anyone can become a trustee, like you could be 18, put yourself on the ballot and not know anything about governance training or the law, and then we have these resources for this finite amount of money where you can get as much training as you need to build your capacity as a trustee. So we have to look at that.
Thank you, trustee Martin.
My experience with CSBA comes on the other end. As a teacher, I was on the bargaining team for our teachers union, and CSBA was quite involved in many of those years. And some of the information was not something that would have been good for our district and our teachers, and it was pushed pretty hard. So I would like to investigate CSBA now as a board member, but I do come with a huge hesitation based on some of the ideas that they came up to hamstring spending any money towards education. So I'm very concerned about that, but I will be open-minded, try to look at what they can provide for us. But it's gonna be difficult.
Thank you. I don't have the same experience that you do, but I have some hesitations. Trustee Markov, did you want to say anything?
No, first of all, I think I'm ambivalent with the CSBA. All the emails that I've gotten, they seem to be up on a lot of current events, news. We get a lot of our updates to our first readings on for board policy seems to come from their research, which I think that's probably a good thing. I've also heard that they, as Trustee Vargas pointed out, chased down some money for us in the form of Prop 98. And also when the governor was hemming and hawing, I think it was last year or the year before, about, what was it, $8 billion, something along those lines. And they went to bat for us and for the school districts and got us that money. And, you're talking $40,000 we're paying out to them. Well, they've brought us back a lot of funding for the district. So, it is what it is. I think personally, I feel a little more positive about them than not, but I do feel like the concerns you raised are valid.
Thank you. Maybe I would like to ask staff to look into, there are 38 school districts that are not members of CSBA. Could we find out which school districts those are? I'd like to look at their dashboard scores and see if they're doing any better without CSBA than the districts that have CSBA. I'm also on a quest for the Holy Grail. I'm on a quest for a school district in the state of California that has the same demographic makeup that we have, the same amount of English learners, and is getting outstanding student outcomes, outstanding dashboards. I don't think that happens. I did find an elementary school in Los Angeles, though, that is doing some really exciting stuff with the same demographic.
Well, it's been a great conversation. Thank you for deliberating on this topic. We can bring more information back to you on this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
More questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Trustee Martin, thank you for sharing that. I don't have your experience, but if you can provide a little bit more detail, because that's been my experience. I'm not saying that, when you were involved with BTA and CSP that did not happen, but more detail would be great, because then I can take that back and get more responses from staff. And just like, CTA, CSBA has changed over the last 2 decades. We are seeing more educators run for office, we are seeing more parents run for office. And therefore, like the perspectives of the what school board members were 20 years ago is a lot different than the current demographics of school board members in 2025. I think it would have been rare to see like a 20-year-old get elected to the school board back in the early 2000s. Probably did happen, but now we're seeing more of that across the board. And then the last thing I want to say on this topic, I had a second thought.
You know what, maybe while you're thinking about that, I did want to add something for the board. Again, our job is to make sure you're fully informed, so we'll bring back additional information about this. But just note that we do utilize the services of CSBA, the district, because that's how we prep board policies for which we're required by law to update from time to time. We can bring back you a cost and benefit analysis, because it would likely, and this is just my guess, we'll give you the details, be significantly more than $40,000 to do just the board policy portion of it, which is a requirement of ours, but we can bring back the cost benefit
That
analysis.
was really helpful.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, with nothing, we'll move on to item 20A, request for future board agenda items. Does anyone have any agenda items they would like? Going once, going twice. Okay, moving on. Board member reports, who would like to go first?
I'm sorry.
Is this for a board, an agenda item, or is it? We're on 20B. Oh, 20B. Did you want to go first, trustee Marco?
No.
About what you did? Okay.
No.
Who wants to go first?
You did visit some schools though.
I visited some schools. Yes,
That's
thank you. I'm sorry. I wanted to ask a question and I didn't know if this was the appropriate time. I got an email. I'll just throw it out there and then you tell me. It's right. I got an email from someone that I was just looking up. They were asking about something called Alina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's actually, yeah, and that's actually, I would talk to Dr. Doyle after the meeting, because it was not on the agenda.
We'll get you some.
And we can put it on the agenda if you want. You can just let me know and I'll put it on the agenda. But, yeah, yeah, okay. Go ahead, trustee Alvarado.
I attended the Avid Senior Reception, which was wonderful, because I know a lot of those students are going on to the majority of them are going on to post-secondary education. Very inspirational, and I'm a first-generation college graduate, so I saw just a lot of happiness and with the students and the families and the teachers. Gosh, the teachers, the kids spoke warmly about the teachers who guided them. It was just a beautiful event. It's always great. I went to the pre-apprenticeship graduation, more joy, more happiness. Their Student of the Year celebration at Vista High School. That's great because every teacher gets to choose a star. And so kids get to shine in many different aspects, not just academic, but arts and sports and leadership and kindness and all these other wonderful areas. Went to the early education fair, kids performing, and here we are with, getting these young families to enroll to our TK and programs, and they get to shop around and see what school is a good school fit, is a good fit for them. I went to Madison's 30th anniversary open house and celebration, and to ASCA, the Association of California School Administrators, honoring their own. They honored Mr. Henry from General Murray Continuation High School, and so that was a beautiful event. And I think that's it. Oh, and I visited 2 schools, but anyways, that was the most important. Those were the most important events.
Thank you. Trustee Vargas?
Yep, attended the Student of the Year, end of the year celebration, where over $40,000 were given to students and scholarships. So like, thank you to the Vista Chamber, local businesses for continuing to support our youth. With it, I also got to attend the CSUSM award ceremony that Vista Unified was recognized for the dual enrollment there at Rancho Buena Vista. And so once again, great partnership. And the beautiful thing is that some of our students at Rancho Buena Vista are gonna be attending Cal State San Marcos, are gonna have those credits earned, and whether, they're on the right path to graduation. Additionally, I was invited to speak at one of the chap ceremony. It's always great to see some of our USD alumni there. And seeing, seeing them graduate, especially because they're gonna be walking tomorrow, and Saturday.
Wow.
And then with that, also, congratulations to Rachel, HR Administrator of the Year for the Regions. Congratulations once again, Rachel. And then, with that, that concludes my report. Thank you all.
Thank you, trustee Marco.
Yes, I got to visit a couple elementary schools, Hanalei and Alamosa, and walked with the principals, saw the campuses. And so that was my activity.
Awesome, thank you, trustee Martin.
I've also been visiting a couple of campuses, went to the Monte Vista Leadership Day, which was really amazing, and I'm not used to being around the little ones. And they really had a lot to say, and they really wanted to keep me on task. So, that was a real great experience, and I enjoyed that very much. We're booking for all these promotions and graduations, and looking forward to it, and it just seems like we're busy every day.
Awesome, thank you. And I, along with trustee Alvarado, I went to the early education fair, which was amazing. It's always amazing. And trustee Martin, I really recommend that you come to that. That is just, that is a lot of littles. And then, I went to the Vista PTA installation dinner or installation luncheon, which was so fun and so cool, where I got to dress Jeremy Waldron up in toilet paper. Which was hilarious. Let's see, I went to, those two, I attended also the honoring our own and just, the retirement ceremony. The retirement ceremony, there were three of us. You boys are missing out.
That was awesome.
It was really fun. Yeah. So many things for me. And so it was, okay, with that, we will move forward. Any board member reflections on the board meeting? Nope, good. Okay, next regular board meeting is Thursday, June 26th. And with that, I adjourn this meeting at 9:54.